take the weight on my shoulders. As I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
FT Live on a Tuesday. Let's do this. I like we just sent out our watch the show, and we put some names of guests on there. And we've got some good ones today. Of course, Ken Rosenthal coming on, Ian Happ coming off the fresh contract extension, the new shortstop of the Atlanta Braves, Vaughn Grissom, and our guest host, but really not a guest host anymore, Kip. Like
Number
you're
two.
a regular part of the roster. So
Number
I saw
two.
you jump in there a little bit. And your favorite guest? No, you're our favorite regular host. Now
I
part of the
appreciate
mix
that.
here.
You guys are so welcoming.
How was your first show the other day? Did you get any feedback from family, friends, anyone else?
They enjoyed it. No, that was a lot of fun. I probably did a bad job. I think I underestimated the amount of work that goes into it. But you guys, honestly, I can ride your guys' coattails with how good of a job you guys do. So that was fun for me.
What's the hardest part of the prep?
Being on time in the morning to the meeting.
But you were on time as a player, right? You weren't.
Yeah,
Getting
I
fined,
wasn't happy about it, but those mornings come fast for me sometimes. Even after my career, they're still coming fast.
True. And this isn't a night game. I mean, this is a day.
True.
It's not a morning game. It's an afternoon game, which is a little tougher for you guys. Did you guys show up later to the ballpark for afternoon games?
No.
You showed up just same exact time?
No, I mean, it was a little
early-wise?
bit later. You couldn't have, like, it was a 7:00 game. I was there around 1. I couldn't have shown up 6. I would have had to show up at 6 in the morning. That's
Yeah.
not going to work.
So what time did you show up for a 1:00 game?
It depended if I was playing or not.
Yeah.
If you're playing.
If I was playing, I was probably there about 9.
Okay.
If I wasn't
Kratzy?
playing, about 10, I guess.
8:30. I'm going to be that guy that, he shows up at 9. I'm showing up at 8:30.
Were you the first one?
Someone's got to fold the towels.
I was definitely helping fold the towels. I was like Josh Tomlin. I was one of the clubbies also. Yeah, I mean, you got to. I always had to show up early because those day games were the days I played.
You played a lot of Sundays, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, baby. There you go. All right. So Happ, Rosenthal.
Kip, those are our days off, by the way.
Yeah.
Sundays? Did you go out on Saturday
Appreciate
night?
you. Go get them. Go get them, Kratz.
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Because
Sometimes.
you're not playing the next day.
Well, that was,
or you're not supposed
I've said that was one of the great things about Ozzie Guillen. He would give me the whole week. So on Sunday, we were traveling or whether we were doing on Sunday, I'd get a text from Joey Cora and it would say, hey, you're playing to next Sunday.
Yep.
And I would know. And then I was like, okay, I can play on my week now.
Why wouldn't a manager or a coaching staff do that? What is the
great question.
downside? Why wouldn't you allow a guy to prepare his life and how he's preparing his body?
I cannot answer, but I played for managers where I've gone to them and said, can you just please let me know if I'm playing tomorrow?
They say no.
And they're like, well, I don't know yet. What do you mean you don't know? You're the manager. You make the
Yeah.
lineup.
Panic.
Can you text me? Can you call me? Can you something me? Send an email? I don't know. I wanted to know. If I could, I want to know a couple days ahead of time.
Sometimes we'd ask a player in an interview, are you playing today or are you playing tomorrow? I don't know. How do you not know?
Because they don't tell you because they're bad managers. How about I was with the Giants, 2004, Barry Bonds, best hitter of all time. No one's even close. At me. I dare you.
Well, there's a caveat, but okay.
But I don't care about the caveat or no caveat. Yeah. There was some other guys doing the same crap, and he was
fair,
light years ahead of them.
Yep.
We'd have 2 lineups on a day game. One with Barry, one without Barry. On the board.
Every day.
Well, day games usually.
Day games.
Okay. I would be in the one where Barry wasn't playing. I'd be out of the one that Barry was playing. So I had to prepare like I was playing. Barry would show up for a 1:00 game sometimes at like noon and say, oh, I'm not playing, or I am playing. So then you go from 0 to 60, I'm playing, oh my gosh, Barry's not playing, so I'm in there, to like when you come down off an energy drink high and you're like, oh, right? Because he was playing.
That seems a little late to show up to the ballpark.
But he could do it.
Obviously.
He could
you're
do
putting
it.
up
But
numbers
imagine
like that.
it, like Kratz, you're sitting there, you're the backup catcher. and you're saying, okay, well, if Barry plays, I'm in there. If Barry doesn't play, I'm out. But I got to get ready like I'm playing because I just don't know until late. I mean, it happened all the time. You're just sitting there going, well, what am I doing?
Yeah, I can associate it. I never had a teammate like that, but I can associate it with rain delays. Everybody's looking at the weather. We got to win. Nah. Bang it, check out. If I'm in the game, I have to stay locked in. I could not turn it back on. That was terrible for me. So I'm with you, AJ. Like, hey, if Barry's not going to want to play, I better be ready because my mind's not turning it on that fast. I'll get pissed off at somebody.
True. Managers, he should have. That's what I used to get pissed off at. But whatever.
So let's charge the mound.
Wait, hold on. What did you say?
What?
Oh, rain delays too were the worst.
Yeah.
Crassie's talking about rain delays. Have you ever seen the energy of when a game gets canceled? The energy you have, the whole team has. Everyone's partying like, and then I'd go in the shower and everyone's going crazy. I'm like, hey guys, now this same energy you have because we have this night off. Remember when we have that split 1 and 7 day-night doubleheader and you guys are bitching and moaning about, oh, we got to play 2 games and we got this 3-hour break. I'm like, remember this. Save some of this energy y'all are throwing up there. Because on the road, you get banged at like 6 o'clock. People are like, oh, we got dinner, we got drinks, we got everything tonight. And then you got that 1-7 doubleheader and that 4:30 when they got to sit there for an hour and a half till that 7 o'clock game. People are like, this sucks. I can't believe we got a doubleheader. I'm like, remember, you guys wanted the rain out. I'd rather, if I show up, I want to play. Screw it. I'm there. Let's go.
Don't ruin our off night, you wet blanket. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, but see, you'd be the one complaining. You'd
I'm
be the one.
gonna get one of those double headers off, probably.
So, Crass, I always wanted to play the first game as a catcher. I want to play the first game, especially a doubleheader. You got 1 and 7. I'm like, okay, I'll play the first game because if you play the second game, and as a catcher, because you got to be there again, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you just sit there, and then it gets just like 6 o'clock. And you've been there already for like 10 hours and you are just exhausted.
Go in the nap pod.
Tried it. Doesn't help.
Doesn't help.
No, because you've been there so long. Everything's thrown off. And again, I would be the guy, like, so let's say Kratz caught the first game. I'd be the guy, we're losing by a run. And guess what? Go pinch hit and catch the last 3 innings of the game. Oh, thanks, Skip. Oh, yeah, then go sit for 2 hours and get back up to play another game. I'll play me the first game. Let's get it over with. And then I can relax the second game till the 7th inning.
I'd almost rather play both ends of the doubleheader because you're so amped and juiced playing that first game, whether it's a good game or it's not a good game. There's like you can't just take a plane off and you can't just crash a plane. Like you gotta come down off of it. And if there's not much time to be able to come down off of it to then ramp it back up. Whether you're even playing the second game, like you still have the adrenaline of the stadium, the game, and other guys getting ready. It's definitely a dynamic that is way, way different than any other day at the ballpark. And then the next day is most likely a day game. So you're pretty exhausted after that series.
All right, I'm going to charge the mound. Can I go now?
Yeah, well, no, I was waiting for Kipnis to say, but he always played both games. So you see, he doesn't have these problems.
Yeah, exactly. He can't relate. So you know who's playing on Thursday?
I don't want to know because I know you're going to say.
Joe Adell? Is it
Joe Adell playing? Joe Adell got called up from Salt Lake?
Joe Adell has 8 home runs in the minor leagues. He got called up because he was hitting 8 home runs, and that's good, right?
Yeah, so is Brett Beatty, and he actually did get called up, and I'll get to him. Yeah, and also, Kratzy, you reminded me that we are actually basically calling a game tonight on NY News TV's YouTube page. So I'm pretty excited for that. Big Yankees community. There's going to be apparently like 500 to 1,000 people on there with us live while we're watching the Yanks play the Angels. I was hoping when we planned it would be an Ohtani game. He, of course, kind of pitched yesterday with the rain delays going on for the Angels. They did win the game, but we've got one later. So you excited for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a marquee game. Like this should be plastered everywhere. Like Trout, Judge, and Ohtani all in the same game. Oh, yeah. Anthony Rendon, too. Like, and Ohtani absolutely smashes the Yankees. So It'll be exciting. I'm juiced about it.
I am too. Yeah, and I thought about actually, you're making me want to rethink my bet and maybe take the over, but we'll see. I have faith in
Piece of Schmidt.
tonight. I do. So we'll see what happens. Well, let's go back to 420, a fitting day. No. For Fernando Tatis Jr.
For
to
drug
return.
use.
Well, he was suspended for PEDs. Now he's coming back. He tore through the minor leagues. He's with the team right now. He goes to the park, works out with them, and then when gates open, he has to leave, which is like kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. That seems like a lot. Just as long as he goes inside. He can't be in the building when there's a fan in the building, but you can be in the building working out with the team.
There's a lot of quirky rules about this drug stuff.
That seems like false hustle of a rule. But okay, anyway, he's coming back. He's going to bat leadoff. Soto 2, Machado 3. So Soto moves up. And why are you so awkward about talking
No,
about
it's
it?
fine. I'm fine.
He got suspended. He
did.
served his suspension. Now he's coming back.
He had the hell of a ringworm.
We know what happened. So he gets a second chance.
Yeah.
And if he fails another test, he's going to miss even longer.
Yep.
Otherwise, we get to see potentially what the real Tatis looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he looks good right now in the minors. I know it's different.
He's a hell of a chihuahua.
Yeah.
Listen,
he's going to be good. He's a talented ball player.
He's a talented player. The thing to me that gets me is I understand we're a forgiving society and we're a forgiving people. How quickly it's forgotten is the thing that gets me. With all these guys. And again, he got the contract, and I don't know, and I can't say if he was on the drugs before the contract or not, but he got a contract that was gigantic. So why not? I signed for $300 million. I was on steroids. I got popped. Now I ain't on them, and I ain't as good. I got $270 million more coming my way. Who cares?
Well, after you signed the deal, why wouldn't you just stop?
Ask A-Rod. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that
I didn't do steroids. If I did, maybe I could answer that. I don't know.
Well, there's guys. Stop. You would, right? Kip, my thing is there's a lot of guys that clearly juiced. Then they sign a big deal. And then a lot of them don't stop until they're caught.
They're not juicing to put up the numbers after signing the contract. That contract is their goal. They're going to stop after they get signed.
Tatis didn't. A-Rod didn't.
They were. I feel like they were doing stuff that I don't know was either flown past the radar for a while or something. If they can get away with it, if they're passing tests, which I'm sure all four of us have heard of guys doing, then there's no reason to stop. If they know they're doing a system they can keep getting away with. But once you're selling high on getting that contract, there's no real reason to keep the risk going afterwards.
I agree.
D. Gordon.
But they still do it.
Remember D. Gordon got popped?
Oh, yeah.
And he signed the big deal first.
There's a lot of
got
guys.
Popped.
Cano.
That's a weird one. Yeah.
Melky.
That's my only thing. Like the fan looks at it,
Cologne.
Right? We can have a field day with this, but Kratzy, the fan looks at it and goes, okay, as a human, you know it's not good for you. You know you could get in trouble for it. Why wouldn't you just stop when you sign a deal? And many guys don't. I think a lot of guys are riding the high of it. And also I've heard from some that it's not easy for them to go off. There's some guys that were juicing since they're kids.
I mean, I can't answer to that, but I equate it to like, why go off? Because you have the contract? Like, I don't know that players necessarily say, oh, I got my contract. Now I'm good. No, then there's the pressure of, oh, I signed this huge contract. I have to do a certain thing. I have to be a certain type of player. And I have a hard time believing, based on talking to guys that I know that have tested positive, that it was actually a mistake. And it was, now a few guys that I played with, there was mistakes. And talking to them, I believe them, but it's more of maybe, let's say, a habit, like a life habit, than like if I give you Scotty, if I give you $10 million to stop biting your fingernails, you might not be able to stop because it's a life habit. And maybe they got there with what they were taking, because of taking that, and they don't think they can play without it. I don't know.
I totally understand that. That makes a ton of sense.
Look at Scott's arms. Life habit.
I think if you got away with the crime, I think you stop
That's
committing
when
the
he goes
crime.
home.
If you map out this bank and you go and rob the bank, you're going to stop going to the bank after you got the money.
No, they don't. They keep going. Why do we have serial killers? They get away with it, and they're like, I can do this again. This is fun.
And they're playing well, and they get accolades. There's a whole
Yes.
skit to it. I think it's a mix. If I had to guess, some are doing what Kip says, where they juice, they get paid, production drops off because they
I think
stopped.
it's way more guys don't stop.
Guys don't stop
Way more.
until they
way
get
more
caught.
guys don't stop.
Well,
Until you get
let
caught.
me ask you guys this, because both of you guys had multi-year guaranteed contracts. What's a greater feeling? Doing good for 162 games, or every day you look at your bank account like, I'm good.
162.
100%. My bank account was peripheral of playing well.
That's why guys don't stop.
Exactly.
I
That's
said
fair.
that.
It's fair.
I said that.
I know that. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm
Oh.
saying
I'm like, I said that.
that makes sense.
That's why guys don't. It's a feeling. It's a. I need this to play well, and I like playing well, and I like getting cheered by the fans.
Or even
Well,
this,
I'm gonna
Scotty. Or even this, Scotty. How do you feel? How do your biceps feel after you don't lift for 2 weeks?
2
After you had the
days.
Zika virus or whatever you had.
I feel like Gumby. I feel like
Okay.
I'm melting.
So now all of a sudden you got this Superman keeling, and then you're like, I'm going to stop. Look, like, you don't have that superpower no more. Like, you're not going up. That's more than half of the game is confidence. That's why Tatis is hitting dingers against the guys in the bushes, because it's confidence. Now he's going to come up to the show, and he's going to get to see this, zip, and then they're going to bring in a guy to get Tatis out, and they're going to see this, and it's going to be a little bit different. And you know what? The dude's got to stay healthy. Like, we get to see, are we going to constantly say, like, oh, here's the real Tatis? Like, play a full season, we'll see the real Tatis.
Yeah, he's been hurt a lot.
Stay off motorcycles.
Yeah,
He has a rash of bad decisions.
they've had personality issues there, character issues.
He needs a mentor.
He makes a lot of bad decisions.
That's my thing.
They're
You told-
self-inflicted.
right? But and Kip, Kratz
Hold
told
on,
me
ringworm is not self-inflicted, Kip, okay?
Fair.
If you're walking through this puddle and you get ringworm on your foot, and then you take something to get rid of it, that is not self-inflicted. I will argue that till the day I die.
Can we argue if that actually happened?
Nope, because he said it in the press conference.
I challenge that.
That's a hell of a case of ringworm.
He's going to the challenge flag.
Yeah, I'm throwing my challenge flag. Yeah. Well, my thing also is, Kip, if Kratzy's paying me $10 million not to bite my nails anymore, I'm hiring someone for $200,000 a year to make sure I don't freaking do it. So my thing with someone like Tatis is have more positive influences around you, even if it needs to be someone that's around you every day. Now, this is a little bit of a different case, but if you remember, substance abuse issues for Josh Hamilton for years. At one point, they put him with who? Jerry Narin, I believe, or somebody. There was somebody that was with him literally every second because he has addiction issues. And it did work for a while where someone had to be with him 24/7, but it did not only keep him on the field, but keep him healthy and in a better situation, obviously.
Texas used to, because he went to Anaheim in 2013. I was in Texas in 2013, so I got to hear a lot of the Josh Hamilton stories. They would give him enough money every day. Now, this is an everyday thing. Think about this. He could only drive they knew the exact mileage from his house to the ballpark. They'd give him enough money to fill up his gas tank. He could drive to the ballpark. Then he had enough money to hand to the clubhouse guy. They'd take his car, get enough gas to where he could get home.
And that's it.
And that was every day.
Why not have a driver? Why even do that?
I don't know, but that was how they made sure he didn't deviate.
Yes.
He could only go from A to B, and he had just enough gas. Like, say it was 2.7 gallons, and it was $7. They'd give him $7. Here you go. To get to the park, and then someone would put $7 more, and then every single home game.
That makes sense.
I mean, that's dedication.
Let's not get it twisted. Self-choice, tough disease. Hamilton, tough disease that
Yes.
he's going to battle
True,
his entire
true.
life. Tatis, got to make better choices.
Not twisting it at all.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No,
agreed.
No. I don't think you were.
Yeah, no. My point is, you can surround him with people to help him. Yes, with his
Nick Markakis.
choices.
I played with Nick Markakis in Atlanta. He had a guy that went with him everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He was his guy. It was Andrew. I don't know. Andrew. He was there.
Like an assistant,
But he was with him 24 hours a day.
Yep.
Everywhere he went, on the road, at home, Andrew was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Nick, dude, what's going on? He's like, he just helps me. He just helps me. And I'm like,
Fine.
Cool. Didn't want to press anything. Don't care what else, but never got in trouble. Never did anything. Just always with Andrew.
Yep.
And then Bud Norris came along and saw that, and Bud's like, well, I need a guy.
You need an Andrew.
And we're like, why do you need a guy, Bud? He's like,
Executive
because Narcakis has one, so I need one.
Bud Norris, first big league hit. Thanks, buddy. Cut it away.
There you go. All right. We'll talk more about the Padres the next couple of days too, including how the team might look differently with Tatis, because actually they could do some offense right now, and we'll get into it with Ken Rosenthal soon as well. Next up, some sports media news. So Andrew Marchand covered this in the New York Post. Players like Aaron Judge or Martin Maldonado most recently doing in-game interviews or getting mic'd up are getting paid. Shocker. I mean, yes, you and me are like, yeah, duh. We know they're getting paid, but most people don't. So it's worth pointing out to everyone else. They get $10K per interview appearance in a game. It's like, hey, do you want to get mic'd up or do an interview in game? We'll give you 10 grand. And it's not coming from the networks. So ESPN, Fox, TBS, Apple, Peacock, etc. This is a league and a union thing from their joint pot that they have saying, we want to do this more. Fans like this. So here's your 10 G's to do this. And they have to come up with a number that's enticing. So
did you guys know this? Kratz, Kip?
Nope.
No, you say like it's a no duh, but if you did an ESPN interview, from my understanding back when we played, it was just, hey, this is good for your exposure. You're not getting paid. So
No,
actually, I enjoy hearing that they're going to get paid now.
No, they started, I think, last year.
They've been getting paid.
yes.
I think they
Good.
started this last year was the first time I ever heard about it. Because I remember doing a Fox game and we mic'd somebody up during the game and I said, man, a lot of these guys are doing this now. And I forget, somebody said, well, they're getting 10 grand. And I'm like,
Exactly.
say, what?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense?
I'm like, can
though?
I get a microphone and get the extra 10 grand? And they
You do get a microphone. and
I
you
know,
get
but
paid.
when I was playing, because but what I'm saying is 10 grand. I mean, people are like, 10 grand is not a lot. 10 grand is a lot. I don't care who you are. 10 grand is a lot. Vacation. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with $10,000.
Yep.
But I'm surprised that this just now came out. I think
I
the
had no
MLB
idea.
tried to hide it. I think MLB kind of tried to hide it
Of
because
course.
they wanted people to say, oh, they're doing this out of the goodness. MLB's paying guys to come on MLB Network now. I don't think players know that either.
No.
They're Alec Manoah. He's getting a little under the table side cash there to come on MLB Central once a week. He ain't doing that because he likes it. He's doing that because they're writing him a little check every week. And I think the big thing is players need to know that.
Do you think players know that?
No. Because I said something to a player last week and they looked at me like I was crazy. I said, well, you just let your other players know that they're being paid to come on this show.
Yep.
And he's, okay, I'm going to pass that around.
They'll
Right?
start to know it. It'll be passed through the grapevine. They'll start to hear that they're getting money.
Because
I'm
they all
all
listen
about
to FT Live. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all
You can
about it. It
tell
makes sense.
everybody.
You know, Kratzy, imagine like Martin Maldonado the other day is catching a game and then he's mic'd up. It's still extra work. It's still an extra burden on him during the game. I mean, we know, especially for you guys, how much you're putting into it and you're preparing and all of that. And also your mic's open. So you're probably going to speak a little bit differently as well.
No?
No?
I don't know. I've never done a live one during the game. I'm definitely gonna have to go back to Fox or TBS, whoever we were on when I did the in-game mic while I was playing. See if I can get some back pay, some extra interest plus. What I want to know about is what is this joint MLB and MLB PA account? Like, there's just joint money where we're like, or are they taking this out of some schmuck's licensing check?
Yeah, Kratz, when you got your 10 years, you guess what? That your pension's gone down every time 10 grand because of this check.
Yeah, what is this? What is this? Where's this? I love when they say that. They're like, oh yeah, well, we found $1 million for the All-Star Game home run derby. where's this coming from? Like, there's some dude that gets a half a year of service that's waiting for his licensing check to be like 20 grand. It's actually 17 because we paid Aaron Judge, who's making $390 million, 10 grand to talk for 10 minutes on air. Like, that's very MLB and MLBPA to have some joint account that we don't know about.
I think we do know about it. And also, the money is pretty much infinite. I don't think
they want it
anybody
to
should.
be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be fooled ever. There's plenty of money to go around for anything. It's just a matter of if they want to do something or not. Do you think
Go get
more
a possum
players?
cage.
No.
No.
Are
Well, that's
possums
quiet
endangered
quitting. That's
species
different.
in Oak? Like, why can we not get an exterminator? They do exterminators that'll come over to your house and humanely
Because
take the
they
possum
don't
out.
want to be there. We talked about this yesterday. The Oakland A's don't want to be there. So the best way to get out of Oakland is to
Let
quiet
possums?
quit and let the place become a jungle of bad baseball and animals running wild and shitting all over
If there's
the
not
place.
like a tiger running through the stadium next week, next homestand for these guys,
Well,
Scotty said a bear.
yeah, just put a bear in the upper deck and lock it off, and just have a live bear and the A's fans can throw meat up there or something. I don't know.
focus. One more thing on this. Kip, do you think that when players find out about this, they will want to do more interviews? Like players in the clubhouse suddenly, especially given that half the league is on the league minimum, which, of course, in the real world is still a very healthy paycheck, but it's like $700K. I mean, 10 G's is a lot. A grand or whatever it is to go on MLB, that's a lot. So when guys find out about this, do you think that they're going to raise their hand more? Do you think they're going to call their agents and say, hey, I want to do this?
You're asking if will people start to do something for money that they've been doing for free already? The answer is yes. They
gave
will.
you a layup. It's your second shot.
Yes, they will be. But and I'm with AJ. 10K, anything like that, it's not anything to sneeze at, no matter what their contracts is. It's these guys assumed or have been under the premise that it was for free this whole time. And listen, you're afforded these opportunities during your playing career to make this kind of money. So striking while the iron hot is a big thing amongst guys and athletes, especially. So if you say, hey, you can make more money doing this, people are going to listen and chime in. They're going to do it.
Wait, Kip, I missed everything you said because of your $10,000 necklace you have on that was glistening as you were speaking.
It's fake.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but now only 10 minutes of an interview on ESPN, and that necklace is yours.
And it's real.
People think it's real.
Keep fooling them. Hey, one or two more things before we bring on Ian Happ, who just signed for a lot more than 10 Gs. Brett Beatty made his debut at the New York Mets, and Mets fans were freaking out because he's one of those guys, Kratzy. He's a Joe Adele, just absolutely smashing the minor
We don't want him
leagues.
to be that.
No, I'm saying his
Let's
results
not
are
be
like
that.
Joe Adele right now. I'm not comparing the two players. It is a guy that you're looking at the bat, and it's so damn hot, you got to try it out in the big leagues. And he's one of their top prospects. The dude can hit. Eduardo Escobar's been struggling. Beatty worked really hard in his defense in the offseason. I actually heard he worked with Tulowitzki a lot in the offseason. And he's back. He was hitting 1386 OPS. I mean, it was 9 games at Syracuse. So Mets fans are pumped. I think they need the offense too. That's been one of my things with the Mets. I mean, it's an older rotation, so you know you're not going to get 30-plus starts from a lot of your guys there. And we're already seeing that play out with Quintana and Verlander's hurt and Scherzer's pushed back right now. The offense, in my mind, needs to be towards the top if they want to be this powerhouse team like they think they are. And they need to have homegrown talent. And Brett Beatty is one of them. They've traded away a lot of their guys. This was a good one to keep in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, his name was all over the trade deadline last year. I saw him in Double-A in 21. I think they had just called him up. And he's the real deal. And I love shots of energy in veteran teams. Like, they essentially paid guaranteed contracts to 26 guys at the beginning of the season. And now these guys that are legit prospects, Alvarez, Beatty, guys that are going to come in and not just fill roles. They're going to come in and they're going to need to be guys. And to me, that's how you start a career for a top prospect. Get out there, throw them in, go play your game.
No, what they did is they started him in Oakland. They wanted him to feel like he was in a minor league game. That's what they did. That was what was smart. They're on the West Coast, right?
No,
Really...
he debuted yesterday, though.
I thought it was in Oakland. Well, either way, they're in L.A. Oh, I thought it was
LA.
in Oakland. Oh, it was in L.A.
I think
Okay.
yesterday was his first game, right?
Okay, I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry. I apologize.
They should have. You're right.
Yeah, I should have called him up in Oakland and said, hey, you're playing in more fans in Syracuse than there are in Oakland.
And
Go
it's the
get 'em."
same pitching. Same pitching you've been seeing. It's a minor league club. Here you go. Easy for me to say. Here, you want me to piss someone off here? Because this is true. Because I'm deep in the prospect scene and part of the draft. And my friends with MLB Pipeline, like Jonathan Mayo and Jim Callis, at one point told me some teams would not draft Brett Beatty because of their data model, not projecting a 19-and-a-half-year-old at the time to come out of high school to become a legit prospect. How'd that
I'm
go?
not even going to get into this because it drives me crazy. The reclassing. Kratz, you're in the middle of it right now with the reclassing.
Yes, we are.
Kib, I don't know your children's situation, but you
Should be reclassed, however old your child is.
If you have a son or a daughter, for that matter, everyone reclasses their kids.
Not that I know of.
So they take a
Same.
so they take a kid, like my kid's 16, he's his right age. He'll graduate just turning 18, like most kids do. They'll take this kid and they'll reclass him in 8th grade and make him a year. And so my kid's a 2025 graduate.
Mhm.
They'll make him a 2026. So then he gets an extra year on everybody to mature, get stronger. Because the difference between a 19-year-old and an
Huge.
18-year-old is huge.
But then teams are dinging you. And
Teams should dig you. I think that's not a bad
I agree.
thing.
Okay. Well,
So-
let's table it for now. 'Cause
Okay.
we got happy.
He might have been reclassed. We'll ask him.
Okay, fine. I don't want to start there because there's other big news with him, but put it in the vault. Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs joining us right now. I would like to start with a little congrats on the big contract extension. Kip's buddy here. Congrats on the big deal. Ian,
Thank
great
you,
to have
guys.
you
Thank
on.
you.
And I wanted to know, I asked Kip beforehand if Kip's going to take you out for a night on the town, even if it's on your dime. I feel like a celebratory night with Kip is necessary for signing a life-changing extension. What about you?
That would be a wonderful time, Kip. Come on. I haven't seen you in a minute.
I know. We text, but it's usually when I'm asking him golf questions or if I can get on certain courses.
I like to take care of you. I like to make sure I can get you out places.
But Ian, what did you finish in the Hilton Grand? What place?
T12.
Okay.
I
don't know
really,
what that
I
is. Hilton Grand.
Hilton Grand was a celebrity tournament that
Okay.
I played in January. Ian was there. I think I finished T17 or something.
You play in every celebrity golf?
No,
He's got one this week.
Yeah,
Ian.
right.
He's got
You're
one
in
this week.
every one, dude.
I'm not because I don't do Tahoe. So
Okay,
You're
you
the
do
least
9 out of 10.
celebrity golfer of all time.
no, there's others. Trust me, Ian can tell you. He was at Hilton Grand. There's some people that are okay. But no, I'm sorry, Ian. Didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to know.
No.
No, of course.
Because I know you're a really good golfer and you have a Grayson hat on. So I know
Yeah.
you're a stud golfer. I just didn't know where we stacked up.
I made an absolute mess of myself on Thursday out there and shot a million and then clawed it all the way back. So I
Okay.
was proud of my last 3 days, but Thursday was a toughie.
Was that your
Barely
first? Was that the first time you played in one of these?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nerves.
so first tee. I don't care. There we go. Hilton Grand.
Oh,
Now, this is
nice.
one. Please tell me you topped it because that would be amazing.
No. I smoked it.
Oh,
Pants. Great pants.
We're fine.
wow, one. You hit driver on one, huh? That's a brave play.
Well, I hit driver on one because I was like, I don't want to top a 2-iron here.
Okay. The first time you do these celebrity events, and still to this day when I do them, the first tee, you're shaking. No matter, there
Yeah.
can be 5 people there, 100,000 people there. You're shaking in your boots. And then the first 2-foot putt you have, this far, I swear, this far, 2 foot. You're scared to death because you have to putt them. You never putt a putt this far. There's always, that's good, pick it up, right? The first one you get over, your hands are, oh no. And then all right, whew, I made par. Whew, I'm good now. Every time. On the Friday when I tee off in Dallas and the invited celebrity thing, first tee, scared to death. First 2-foot putt for par. Hopefully it's for par.
Stop doing gimmies. Just do it for real when you're playing.
I do now.
Okay.
People say that's good, and I'm like, I'm still going to putt it. Thank you. I'll count it, but I'm still putting it.
Ian,
Sorry.
sorry we brought you on to listen to AJ talk about golfing.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I'm
Way
trying
out of
to-
Are
golfing.
you the best active golfer in the game right now?
No, Jeff McNeil's really good.
Can you beat him?
I've never played with him. His handicap is definitely lower than mine. And he's a player. Aaron Hicks is a player. He's really good.
Oh, Hicksy can play. Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
bomb it.
That's what I've heard.
Bomb it.
Yeah.
I've heard some legendary stories about his drives at Silverleaf, like driving greens and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you win a lot of money off players when you go out, being like, I'm okay?
Lester retired, so it's harder now.
Hey, I'm gonna see him this week. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Yeah. Johnny and I had a nice running. We would go play a lot, and we had a good matchup. But he wouldn't really take strokes. We would kind of play straight up, and so I was the beneficiary of that quite a few times.
Well, he can afford it, so I don't feel bad for him. Hey, back to the extension for a moment. Did you do anything? I always ask, and you're in the middle of the season. At least give me some players. I'm like talking to Andres Jimenez the other day, and he's like, I haven't had time at WBC. Just called my family and all that. It's like, dude, you signed for $100-something million. Your entire life completely changes. I know you're in the thick of the season, but nice dinner, buy something, definitely like a jump up and down, fist pump, the whole deal. Did you do something
wine
to celebrate?
A great bottle of wine.
Yeah.
I know he did.
Yeah. My fiance and I opened a nice bottle of wine. It was tough because when it got done, we were like about to leave. You know what I mean? So it gets done, and then I have to be in the MRI tube at like 6 a.m. the next day to like get it all finalized. And then we played in Chicago, and then we left to go on the West Coast trip. So didn't actually get a lot of time to like celebrate and be with people. As soon as it got done, I'm going home and packing for a 7-day West Coast trip. So, got to share a nice night with my fiance, and then we went out and played golf on the off day. Me and Smiley and Tucker at Bel Air Country Club. That was my celebration.
Oh, nice. You're slumming it at Bel Air, huh? Too bad
Yeah, I'm
for you.
grinding. It's really a tough life, man.
Yeah. Next, you're going to say you're at Lakeside and some other places down there in LA. Rough life you're leading, Ian.
Yeah, it's a grind.
We had a conversation the other day about extensions, and Scott was like, when you get an extension, do they do a physical? And I said, yes, they do. In the middle of the season, they'll still give you one, even though. So thank you for repeating what we had talked about, because Scott was like, I can't believe he just had one in spring training, but they still do one. Can you walk us through these extension talks, where it came from? How, did it come together quickly? I know you were almost traded last year. There was a whole thing with you and Contreras. You stayed. Now you have an extension. You have some no trade clause. You have all these things. So can you walk us through the talks?
Yeah, I mean, it started early, started in the off season. It's pretty natural, I think, when you're going through the arbitration process to have those conversations. Leading into ARB obviously didn't get done. We got the ARB number done. And then it was kind of continuing that and having the dialogue open, but never at a point that just made sense. And so we got to the end of spring training into opening day without anything done. Kind of felt like probably wouldn't get done at that point. And then kind of came together pretty quickly after a week of the season, kind of radio silence. Things picked back up and we got it done over the course of 6-7 days. So some of those things, it just takes momentum. And I think that where we were in spring, Nico is getting his deal done. There was a lot of travel between Arizona and Chicago. And then, once you kind of start to get the momentum going and numbers get a little bit closer, there's a chance to actually make it happen. And we were able to.
As long as you're happy with it, I think any player's thrilled to stay in Chicago, and you got to the number where you appreciate it. If you guys looking at the road trip, you guys are just coming back from LA and kind of starting to gel together. What do you got on this roster, and how far do you guys think you can go with it?
It's a good group. It's a really good group. And I think you guys know there's a lot of guys that have been around the game for a long time, done a lot of cool things. And like when you get guys at different points in their career, that they've had enough experiences to go through 162. Everybody has their process. Everybody understands what it takes for them to get ready for a big league baseball game and to work through a season. And so to have that group and guys that love to be big leaguers, love to go out to team dinners, love to get to know each other, and then putting that in the same place where everybody does have to get to know each other. It's definitely not stale, I'll tell you that, because the group is all new. So being able to like feed off that energy, and it's a really nice kind of mix in the dugout, and we have a really good staff. and rotation. So I think we have an opportunity to do something pretty special. I mean, you can see we've won a couple series in a row here. We're in a nice little groove, but it's a long year.
Did you
What
get
is
a? Oh, sorry. Go, Crancy.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, who's the guy that surprised you the most of all the new guys that you didn't know very well, or maybe you knew him, but now you know him better? Who's the guy where you're like, dang, kind of wish I kind of played with this guy a lot more?
I mean, Hosmer's the guy that you always hear about, like being an awesome teammate. So going in, I was like, this guy's going to be amazing. He is. He lived up to all the expectations. Haas is an absolute beauty. I think probably the most surprising one was Edwin Rios is hilarious. Did not know that about Eddie. So he is really, really funny. Great team guy. So way, way into Edwin Rios.
Did you get a suite worked into your deal? Are you the new nighttime suite that the pizza is coming to your place now?
Come on now. Need it.
baby. Baby. Send me that room number. I'll be there soon.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Hey, Swanson, what about Swanson? Shouldn't Dansby be paying for everything?
Yes, he should be.
We need to get that. We need to make that happen. He needs to be on that.
Well, I invite the people to my suite and then send the check to his room, so it's pretty easy.
That's smart. That's a smart play right there. Yeah, absolutely.
So business savvy.
Hey, how's Oakland?
First time in Oakland for me. It's amazing with all of the COVID, like 2020, 21, all the schedule changes. Like, been around for a little bit and still haven't played in a bunch of the AL West places. So first time in Oakland. What a place! It's interesting, all of the standing water that's around. But I was surprised. The locker room's not that bad, and see the ball okay. I think surface is really nice. I'm going to say nice things about it. It's not a lot of people at the games, but besides that, I mean, it's all right.
We know how much you signed for. How much would it take for you to sign in Oakland?
More.
Put the over-under at double.
High taxes.
The taxes are high.
Okay, because Chicago's taxes are nothing. Chicago's taxes
still
are
half
nothing.
of Oakland.
Yep.
They're close.
I want to give a shout out, a credit to so Oakland obviously.
Oh wait, we don't hear you, Kip. You went on.
Push anything.
On
We good?
There you go. You're back. Yep.
Timer.
Yeah, seriously. The people, I want to give a shout out to the fans in Oakland because they don't draw well, and it's not the prettiest stadium anymore to be in. That might be the loudest 6,000 though. If you take a 6,000 from every stadium, they're going the whole time. They've got
It's cool. Like the drummers out there going, and like for us, the Cubs fans obviously travel really well, and we had a decent amount. I think we only had 5,000 people there yesterday, but 2,500 of them were Cubs fans.
A decent amount.
Yeah. So there was people above the dugout with W flags cheering and being there. And like, it is a cool atmosphere in the dugout. One of the things that I've said since they renovated Wrigley was in 17, my first year, we had the tiny dugout, and it was awesome because the group had to be together and everybody was on top of each other. So everybody was totally into the moment and invested because you couldn't go anywhere. Like you couldn't escape. And when you get in a bigger dugout situation, like sometimes there's a group of guys at the end or there's guys in the middle, pitchers are just hanging out at the end. There's always things where when the dugout gets too big, you kind of lose people. And so that dugout in Oakland is so small and you're so on top of each other that everybody has to be completely invested in the game. And when you get like the hilarious chirps from the guys that are hanging out on the bench and you start to hear those things and everybody's like screaming when a guy fouls the ball straight back, like those are fun moments, and that dugout really promotes that.
Have you done an interview in the dugout yet?
That's a crazy move, huh? Crazy thing going on, the dugout interview mid-game. I have not done that.
Now, I know you're one of the higher up player reps. Was that worked out between to get paid now to do those interviews? Was that between the players union and the MLB, or what happened there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those were agreed upon. I think it was an idea from Fox. Fox was doing them. Is that right?
Yeah, in the playoffs, they were doing them. But now there was a story that came out this week that lays out, like, you get 10 Gs if you do in-game interviews. And a lot of players were like, oh, I didn't know that.
No,
I'll do it.
No, it's not the in-game interviews. It's the
mic'd
up thing. It's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
You get 10 grand. Not for doing an interview. No, Fox is like...
Yes, the two-way live interview during a game when you're in the game and you're talking.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always been 10. And that's something that's negotiated between players union and the league is to make sure the guys get paid for doing that in game. Yeah, but the dugout interviews in the playoffs for a little bit. I don't know.
No,
You're
what do
trying
you
to- you're
think?
trying to
I
be
mean,
locked
is
in.
it? Yeah, but it's after you do it. They did a lot of them. Like, if you were in that situation, would you say no? Would you feel uncomfortable with it? Some guys were great with it, and some guys just said nothing. But it was a thing, and I think some fans just like the access.
I just don't think you get the authentic answers there, you know. And I think that it's hard because you want to celebrate with your teammates there, and when you have somebody that's standing in the middle of the dugout, it's a little bit strange. And I think there's a better way to get the authentic coverage or action that guys are looking for, because in the middle of a game, if somebody's standing in the dugout and you hit a homer, it's they saw it well, hit it hard, it's awesome. Like there's not that much more to say than that. And so there's probably something better, you know, there's probably a better way to put a mic there and cut the good footage of the guys yelling or however you can do it. But
You get the PG-13 edit.
yeah.
That's for sure.
So what do we need? So what is it? What's the better thing? And if it's not on the whole dugout thing, what would you change about the game? Because you're there with the Players Association. You're a guy. You got opinions. You're good at golf, so that means you're confident in yourself. So what would it be? Like, sell this game, because it can't be vanilla and boring anymore.
Yeah, I think the rules changes are actually helping. I think that they've been pretty good with pace and all that stuff and the viewing experience on TV. I think we can take examples from other sports. I know it's harder in individual, or it's easier in individual sports than it is in baseball because there's too many people that have to say yes. But I think you can learn from what PGA Tour and what F1 has done with giving some behind the scenes access. I think that stuff's important. You know, I've been a huge proponent of like wearing two ways, not during the game, but during practice. I think there's a real opportunity to do it where a guy's shagging fly balls in BP and he's wearing the two-way, and that's a 10, 15-minute segment where you can watch that guy go through his process, have him talk where it's not such a pressure-packed thing. I think guys can do it during BP. Pitchers can do it during their bullpens. You know, there's times when that stuff needs to be private and focused, but there's also times when that can be more out there and you can create a really good segment to do it. And I think that giving guys the opportunity when they're not completely immersed in the competition of it to still talk and get the personalities out. I think everybody saw what the WBC did for, you know, Lars Nootbaar and even Shohei, you know, the most famous dude in the world. You know, he doubled, tripled his Instagram following, and like that stuff matters. I know it's like, who cares how many followers you have on Instagram, but that means that more people in the world are paying attention to the superstar of our game. And like, that's really important. And when a guy like Lars Nootbaar can have 1 million plus followers, like that's what basketball does. Basketball, the sixth guy on the Lakers has 1 million followers. And like, that's why those guys make as much money as they do. And there's such an investment in them. Not only because there's less of them, but because people care about what they do and they sell shoes and they sell products and like all of that stuff adds up. So the more that we can humanize people and these regional networks are telling the stories about the players and what makes them tick, I think it all adds up.
That's partially why we're doing this. I mean, we got to show, besides me being a loser non-player, the rest of these guys played, and we bring on players every day live. So I'm with you. I think there's awesome personalities, just as good and just as much like cool stories, drama, whatever in our sport as there are in basketball and football. So if you're a commissioner for a day, what would you do? If you could change something, implement something new, what's something else to kind of add to this conversation that you think we could do to take the next step to make baseball even more culturally relevant?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I started my podcast too, was to, you know, talk to players and humanize them a little bit. But I think I think teams are doing a better job of it. But I think the culture of baseball, I think, you know, the photos of guys coming into the park, the guys talking about what they're doing, I think that stuff's important. But also, I think there should be a documentary series where you go follow each team for a week, so it's not invasive for the whole season. It's not it's 1 week in the clubhouse for each team, and then they put it all together at the end, or maybe they release it a week at a time, and start there and see what happens. And then when you get to the playoffs, that shit should probably be mandatory. Like, it should probably be like, hey, there's just going to be cameras around all the time in the playoffs because we want to tell this story. And I know that it might stink right now, but for the long term of the game and for all of you, like, it'll be better, and we're not going to portray you in a negative light.
I'm with you. Hard Knocks, Drive to Survive. Yeah. And a part of that is just the league has to open up and allow that too and be like, it's okay to see the inside. I know you're shaking your
It won't
head.
happen.
I know, but they need to
I
need
agree.
to do that.
They should, but
They
it won't
need to
happen.
allow that.
I agree.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's not a big deal.
It's hard because you have to get teams and players to agree, and then you have to figure out where the money goes, right? Because it's like, the players want some of that, and then the teams want some of that, and the league wants some of it. So there's so many. Baseball is hard. Sport, team sports are difficult because so many people have to say yes to it. But the more that we can give fans the access, the better off it'll be for the game. Everybody wants the best product on the field, and that's what's the most important thing, is that we have the best players in the world competing against each other at the highest possible level. But the next step is, how much can we actually get people to know the individuals and invest in them?
So I'm going to bunch all of these together because you're a prime example. So you've got the coffee biz, you've got the podcast, and of course I want to get the charity in there too. So can you just list some of the things that take up a lot of your time off the field that you love doing?
I mean, yeah, I love being involved in businesses. I love talking to founders and helping and feeling like I'm making an impact. We've got Connect Roasters Coffee Company in Chicago, Obvious Shirts, who's a t-shirt brand that started in the bleachers in Chicago. Grayson, I'm invested in a bunch of being able to do that stuff and actually be an investor and part of the company and try to provide as much help as I possibly can is really exciting for me. And I have a good team around me, but to be able to spend my time doing that and doing stuff like this in the mornings and doing my podcast, that is something that I think gets me away from baseball at times, but also is really enjoyable for me. So I have a blast with it and look forward to continuing to do that stuff.
What's the name of your podcast?
The Compound. So it's called. We started in 2020 when everything was shut down. I was living with Nico Horner, Zach Short, who's with the Tigers, and Dakota Mekas, who was a pitcher with us, and we were all living together. And I was like, there's nothing out there. Let's see if we can do this. And so we started up and had some celebrity Cubs fans and different players on, and we're at episode 155 now. So we've been doing it for a while, but it's pretty cool.
Nice. Your coffee roasters or Connect Roasters is awesome in Chicago. I was on the website today once I heard you were coming in. It was pretty cool to see it helps feed people. Every pound of coffee, it feeds people in Chicago. So way to go on that. ConnectRoasters.com, right? Mm-hmm. The question I have for you is really nothing about baseball. I mean, I guess it kind of does have something about baseball. Who's the best University of Cincinnati baseball player? You, Kevin Youkilis? Is there someone else I'm missing?
Josh Harrison.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Sandy Koufax, but
yeah, someone I've played against. Basically, you were Youkilis.
I mean, Ukes had the best career. I mean, right? Ukes got ring and been around, and I got a ways to go to catch up to that guy.
Okay,
Ian's in his 20s.
I know.
Yeah,
I know, but I still would have been like me.
Yeah, but if they have an alumni game, they're not picking Uke first. They're picking you first.
Exactly.
You're the best right now.
Exactly.
Right now.
Well, hey. Sorry.
We got Cincinnati's in the best place it's been in a while. We got Ryan Noda, who's in Oakland, Joey Weimer, who just came up with the Brewers, Art Warren, who's a relief pitcher, who's with the Reds and around. So, there's some guys that are playing at the highest level right now, which is really cool.
Hey, Ian, if you want to get invited back to Hilton, by the way, just before we let you go.
No, Kip's got one.
I know, but I want some free Grayson stuff since you said you invested in them. So I got a tournament starting on Friday. You can ship it to Dallas.
Size
Las
large.
Colinas Country Club, Double X. Yeah, Double X.
He knows about it.
I know. Lester's playing. Millar, a bunch of guys.
Yeah, I'm jealous. You got to if you see Pampling out there, Rod, tell him I said hello. Australian dude, he can really swing it.
I will.
Happer, now that you're signed and there for the next couple of years, my one question, I guess, before you go is how close did you actually become to being traded last year? How, according to you, how close did it really get and where?
I didn't know where. It was kind of like there was definitely opportunities all over it. Like New York was a real opportunity, probably Atlanta, probably Toronto. San Diego goes out and gets Soto. So there was definitely a bunch of places who were looking for an outfield bat. I don't know how close it got, but I definitely felt like I wasn't going to be in Chicago. I was completely and totally prepared for it. Kind of upset about it, sad. And it was tough to kind of play those last games at Wrigley and feel like it wasn't going to be back. But I was ready for it, and pretty pumped it didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Look at the situation now. What a change in a year.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great for him.
It's really
great for
cool.
you, Ian.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Ian, thanks for joining us, man. This was awesome. Really enjoyed the conversation. Good luck the rest of the week. And yeah, we'd love to talk to you down the line, and also maybe wish good luck to AJ, because he might get smacked by a bunch of better golfers out there over the next few days.
Go get him out there.
Yeah. Keep it low in the wind. Right? You got to keep it low in the wind out there.
Thanks, Ian. Awesome.
Later, Happer.
Awesome. That is crazy when you think back.
Him and
How
Contreras.
different life could be. Yeah. Contreras too, right?
Contreras went out and gave the whole
They both did.
hat tip and the whole,
Yeah.
And now here he is. He signed an extension.
But right, Happ signed an extension. He stayed. I mean, Contreras obviously left, and obviously things worked out for everyone as anticipated, but neither of them actually got dealt.
Yeah.
That was crazy to me.
I want to
think
know
it's
why.
a lot of people.
Why
I
didn't
wanna
they
know
get
why.
dealt?
I want to see the behind the scenes of that. Like, if you talk about behind the scenes shows, like, to me, like, I would think it'd be better to know, hey, I was almost dealt to Oakland. It would have sucked, but I almost was dealt there. Like, whatever it is, I think it'd be cool. And just kind of like the, choose your own adventure books. They're always cool.
I have more insight on the Contreras part, less on Happ.
Happ made less sense to me, though. Contreras was a free agent.
Right,
Happ
Happ
was still
wasn't.
arbelled.
So they could say, hey, we have another year of this. We can
Yes.
figure something out
Which
with
is what they
him,
did.
Which is what they
That's
did.
why I never understood when they were talking about Ian Happ being dealt. It didn't make sense because he's a player you can build around, obviously. Outfield, Gold Glove, made the All-Star team last year, has kind of figured it out a little bit later than some guys, but he's been a good player for the Cubs, and why trade him? You have another year of control. You can wait till this year and trade him and probably I guess you could maybe get more as he has a year of control, but it was good for Ian because they kept him. Now he's extended. He's got no trade, so good for you.
Contreras is where I have more insight. So, and Ken might be able to comment off this because he's coming up soon. So I do believe there was a deal done for him to go to Houston. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Jim Crane
ownership
or Dusty
rejected
Baker,
it.
Somebody rejected
I think everybody but James Click. And I think who even knows what was going on at that point, because Click was halfway out the door. So your GM is swinging deals, and it's him against the world, basically, in Houston. Everyone else wanted him out. I don't think it was because of the personality. They just were clashing in terms of their philosophies on how to run the team, which was crazy because they won a World Series.
Well, the thing with Contreras, because I did Houston down the stretch a bunch of times with Fox, and we asked Dusty about this. I think they were worried about, you had Martin Maldonado, who Dusty loves, who's their starter. You're bringing in Contreras, who's going to want to play like a starter because he's a free agent. Will they clash? And they brought in Christian Vasquez.
Also a free agent.
But Vasquez, I think, was a little more amicable maybe to that role than, say, a Wilson Contreras would have been, because Wilson Contreras is maybe a little bit more of a outspoken person than Christian Vasquez is. So Vasquez was more open to, hey, I'll go there, I have a chance to win. Whereas Contreras was, I'll go there, but I better play every day because I'm a free agent and I want to be the man.
Wow, the Astros actually cared about personality fit and not just numbers.
That was very fun to watch you bob and weave through that sentence, to not step on any of those landmines right there.
I distinctly remember asking Dusty.
Yeah.
I think we had him 3 of the last 4 weeks of the season. And this came up. And if we get Ken, I don't know if Ken was in one of those games or not, but I remember we asked him, hey, how close was Contreras? And he told us that was the thing that kind of gave them question marks. Not that Contreras is a bad player, is a bad guy, any of that. They were just worried. Dusty loves Maldonado, rightfully so.
Yes.
Great defensive guy, can throw, handles pitchers. Will he be able to handle the clash of not playing every day and being the man? And that is something, there's something to that. I don't care, because again, it's not fantasy baseball. It's real people baseball.
Yep.
And if he comes in and he starts a ruckus, I'm not playing 6 days a week. Well, hell, Maldonado's like, well, I got Gold Gloves, I got I got all this stuff. I've got time with the Astros. You can't come in here and act like this. And I'm not saying Contreras would have, but that was their fear.
Yeah, and Vasquez, that's a nice plan.
Yeah, terrible.
Option 2 to come in.
Yeah.
I mean, and dude was great for them when he was playing, and obviously is a better hitter than Maldonado for sure. Let's bring in your guy Ken Rosenthal right now and see if he was with you for any of those, since you can't even remember what happened to your life a few months ago. We were talking just now, Ken, to Ian Happ about how quickly life can change, where he thinks he's getting dealt. He was listing some of the teams he thought he might have been dealt to. And we were talking about not only him, but Wilson Contreras. And I said, I don't remember Happ and what that situation was, aside from him having more control and still another year left. But Contreras didn't get moved either. And to me, that was one of the shocking upsets of the trade deadline last year, is the Cubs didn't make any moves.
That was. And I should note, guys, I don't think you heard Ian Happ tell you guys at the end, because you were kind of talking over him, that he loves the show and says what you're doing is really good for the game. So you should know that, because he said it and you couldn't hear him. You didn't hear him. You were just talking. So anyway, as for last year at the deadline, Contreras had defensive questions around him. And there was some concern some other clubs might have had, because, as you guys know, trading for a catcher at the deadline can be more complicated than other deals, because you have to mix in a catcher with your pitching staff. He has to learn the pitchers. It's tough to do. And it's happened before. It's not always the smoothest transition. So combine that with the questions that were out there about him, and you have a situation where the Cubs just didn't get what they wanted. Now, there was that possibility of a trade to Houston. It didn't happen. And it was a trade that was nixed by Houston. So ultimately, they came close, but never got a deal done. And I thought, because of the way that deadline went for Wilson Contreras, that he'd have a hard time perhaps in free agency. But he didn't, really. He had a great deal from the Cardinals and living happily ever after in St. Louis, although he's off to a bit of a slow start.
Ken, where are you? What city?
I am in the Bay Area, AJ.
Okay, because you got a full suite there. When I travel with Fox, I don't get the full suite with the full kitchen. I gotta talk to somebody there. I don't know if it's Zager or Shanks or who, but man, you got full kitchen. You got microwave.
They have those at Residence Inns.
All right,
I don't get that. I get the.
When was the last time? Scott, I'm going to ask him a question here. I think I know the answer. When was the last time AJ Przinsky stayed in a Residence Inn?
Fort Myers, travel baseball with my son. Boom! Every year,
right,
Fort Myers,
there you go.
travel baseball. Eric Kratz's kid versus my kid. Boom!
And you got
All right, there it is.
Yeah, but it wasn't that nice. It wasn't
Staying
that. Maybe it
in
was.
Residence Inn.
It's a little dark.
This is one of the better ones, I guess.
I get.
Yeah, I mean, he's Fox Athletic, fair territory. Ken's busy. He's earning his money
True.
right now. So I want to mix in a fan question based on where you're at. So Vicky asked,
Sure.
Can the other MLB owners vote to force John Fisher to sell the Oakland A's? We have this community of Oakland A's fans that are starting to flock to us because we're not holding back here. And I even said yesterday, in my mind, it's a popular term, especially over the last year and a half, because a lot of people did it. And there were articles in the Journal and the Times about quiet quitting. I think the owner is quiet quitting so that they can move and they can show how they're not making any money and it's a disaster. So they're kind of throwing more fuel into the fire.
I've asked this question before, Scott. I don't know if it was about the A's ownership. Maybe it was about another one. Basically, for an owner to be voted out, he has to do something really bad. And complete negligence with the franchise, financial mismanagement, something far worse than what John Fisher is doing, believe it or not. And this happened with Frank McCourt. If you go way back to the Dodgers, and when he was forced out, he basically was taking money out of the team, and it was damaging the team, and they kind of determined that as a league, and that was that. He ultimately had to sell. I don't expect anything like that happening with John Fisher. In their minds, he's an owner in good standing, even though he's not a very good owner in terms of having his team compete. So keep in mind, he is the owner of a business, right? And while it is part of a league and a franchise in a league, he does have certain rights too. So I don't expect that anything along those lines is going to happen. What I do expect is that the Oakland situation is going to resolve one way or the other in the near future. We've been saying this, I don't know, for 15 years, but it seems like finally it is coming to a head, whether it's Vegas or Oakland.
Or because they're not trying.
That's why they're trying to go to Vegas.
I know.
Yeah.
They're going to, 2027, the Vegas A's, here we come.
Vegas Possums.
Vegas Possums, that'd be even better. Ken, you were just in San Diego. You saw the Padres. Juan Soto, he was great when he was at Washington National. As a young kid, won a World Series, did all the things. Now he's struggling, and that's putting it nicely since he's gone to San Diego. What's behind it, and why is he complaining about the pitch clock so much?
I don't know why he's struggling, AJ. I'm sure if I did, I'd be in a lot better position than I am as a mere sports writer or commentator on foul territory.
In your fancy suite.
In my fancy suite in the Residence Inn, yes. But it seems like for whatever reason, after the trade, he has not been the same guy. And you can look at the numbers. They'll tell you that. It's not even close to what he was in Washington. And the pitch clock is something that he has had to adjust to. Remember, he likes to do some things in the box, paw the dirt a little bit, kind of do his little shuffle and all that. But I don't think that's the reason he's struggling now. I don't know what the reason is. And they have a difficult decision to make. Maybe it's not so difficult. When Tatis comes back on Thursday, where do you hit the first four guys in the lineup? How do you line it up? My expectation, and I wrote this yesterday, Tatis leading off, then Soto in the second spot, then Machado, and then Bogarts. That way, Soto's the only left-handed hitter in that grouping. The opponent would never bring in a left-handed reliever to face him when you've got Machado and Bogarts right in back of him. But he has said that he prefers to hit third. Now, he also told me that he's fine with hitting second in this particular lineup, but I don't know that these things even should be worrying him so much. I know that hitters have preferences, and I do understand that, but he's got to get going, and he's got to get going whether he's hitting second or third. And right now, for whatever reason, it isn't happening. He's still walking, still has a high on-base percentage, but Juan Soto is a great hitter. He's not just a great walker. And from San Diego's perspective, they haven't seen it yet.
Ken, Jason Kipnis here. Good to talk to you again. It's been a little bit, so I'm excited to be on the. With Tatis coming back, what's the team's attitude, do you think, towards him? Is there any expectations, and are you kind of expecting Tatis will take some of that pressure off of Soto and the rest of the lineup to kind of get things back going for him?
That could be, and certainly Tatis brings a certain energy. And after the game Saturday, I interviewed Jake Cronenworth, and I was asking Jake, he had 2 home runs in that game, about the emotion he showed after the second home run in particular, but really both of them. And he said, you know what? Tatis is coming back. He does this kind of thing all the time. Maybe it's time for me and other guys to do the same. So the question of whether he'll be welcomed back and all of that, because obviously there was some disappointment when he got the 80-game suspension for violating the drug policy. I don't know that that's an issue. Remember, he was with them in spring training. That, I would imagine, has been dealt with internally. And I expect they're going to welcome his energy and all that he brings as a baseball player. My goodness, he's a terrific player. So I don't expect a problem in that regard. And if anything, I expect them to get a boost from him and then another boost at the end of the week once Musgrove returns to the rotation. This is a team that has not performed yet to expectations, not even close. But they remain extremely talented, and I just can't see them struggling for too long.
Who's the catalyst for that team? Who's the catalyst in that lineup with everybody that you have there? You hit on Xander a little bit, you hit on Juan a little bit. Like, who is that catalyst?
Tatis could be once he comes back. Manny certainly, when he's hot, is a catalyst in the lineup and a linchpin. He has not hit well so far this year. It's 20 games or whatever. I don't think he's too worried about it. But Bogarts, to me, I won't use the catalyst word, but I will use the consistency word. He has been one of the most consistent hitters in the game for quite some time now, 4 or 5 seasons, really. And he started off great. He's telling me the other day, I'm not happy with my toe tap, leg kick. I can't figure out which one to use, but he's doing just fine. So it's a great question, Eric. You're kind of asking, like, who's the key guy there? I don't know that you can identify one. They're all key in their own ways, but I do believe once Tatis comes back, based on the way he is hitting in El Paso, which was ridiculous, that he will be something of an igniter for this team.
Ken, you said Juan Soto is a great hitter, but since he's gone to San Diego, he looks like he's trying to get walks. He's not aggressive. He's looking for one pitch. They're ringing him up left and right. I know doing the playoffs last year against the Dodgers, he got a little more aggressive, still struggled. They're going to need him to step up if they want to do what they're going to do, even with Tatis or without Tatis, because he needs to be in the middle of that order or top of the order, wherever he's hitting, getting on base for Manny, getting on base for Xander, protecting Tatis if that's where he hits. He's the most important piece for me for the Padres going forward, because when they traded for him, remember, oh my gosh, the world, no way they got him, right? Like they got Hader, then they got Soto. They're like, it's a World Series team. Then he's hitting, what's he, 0 for 21? He's hitting under 200 since he's been a Padre. He's the most important piece for me for the Padres going forward.
AJ, that's a fair criticism that he has been perhaps too passive. And he has said he doesn't mind taking his walks. He's comfortable with that. But they need him to be more than that. And he has been more than that in the past. My goodness, go back to the 2019 World Series. He was quite the hitter in that particular environment. So, yes. Now, I would think if you asked Soto this, he would say, I have to see pitches. I have to do it this way. This is my style. And ultimately, it leads me to a good place from a hitting perspective, because I'm basically narrowing the strike zone, finding where I want to be. But it's not happening for him right now. And I would imagine there are people with the Padres who would like him to be more aggressive and to go at it a little bit differently. He's going to have to find that right balance, because you don't want to take his character as a hitter away from him, right? His identity as a hitter. At the same time, you want him to be the best he can be. And right now, he's still drawing plenty of walks, but he's not the best hitter he can be.
Kind of the opposite, Ken, is Cody Bellinger. He kind of goes up there gangster hacking and everything. And you obviously saw the pitch clock violation. I think you gave your dork of the week on Fair Territory to Jim Wolf or the fans or whoever you gave it to. But Did you see Max Scherzer yesterday on here? He kind of went off a little bit. It was good to see a player say, hey, we need to figure this out for moments like this. What's the best way for us to handle this situation, or the league to handle this situation going forward?
Okay, well, I wrote about this, and I also talked about it on Fair Territory. And when I gave Jim Wolf the umpire dork of the week, I did it with an asterisk. Because, AJ, there is a process in place for these kinds of moments, but you've got to anticipate them. So, when Aaron Judge steps to the plate for the Yankees for the first time this year, coming off the record after signing the contract, the Yankees had alerted the league that they expected an ovation. The league alerted the umpires. Boom, everything went off fine. No violation. There was a little bit of a delay. Great. McCutchen returning to Pittsburgh, same thing. Pirates alert the league alerts the umpires. The moment is the moment. With Bellinger, it was a little bit different. Why? Because he was a visiting player. So if you're the Cubs, are you going to tell the league, you know what, we think our guy's going to get an ovation at Dodger Stadium, so let's be ready for that? It's kind of weird, right? I mean, you're telling the league that you think the fans in the other stadium are going to be receptive to your guy. And then from the Dodgers' perspective, it's kind of the same thing. We're expecting a moment for this visiting player. A little more natural for them, perhaps, because they knew who Cody Bellinger was with the Dodgers, and they knew he probably would get a warm reception. But to me, the guidelines leave a little bit of a loophole there. And that's where the process kind of fell apart. No one stepped up and said, this is going to happen. Let's be ready for it. Jim Wolf didn't get the alert. Now, he should have read the moment better. I'll grant that. But they've got to be more aware, whether it's someone in the league office or someone with the teams. If something like this is about to happen, and you basically know when these things are going to happen, we knew Cody Bellinger would get an ovation. Back in LA, he was an MVP there. He was a World Series champion there. Somebody has to be on alert. And maybe the umpires need to do a better job of kind of sensing these things. But there is that process, and it wasn't followed because in this particular case, it sort of couldn't have been followed. It was just something that fell through the cracks.
Was it really a big ovation, though? I'm not saying he shouldn't have gotten it because he did so much there. Was it a big ovation?
Well, it's Dodger Stadium, and from what I understand, Eric, it was that usual late-arriving crowd, and the ovation wasn't what we might have thought it was based on everything that followed, the violation and the uproar over that. But That said, it's still a moment that the league, the umpires, the teams should have anticipated, should have been ready for, and it didn't happen.
Hey, Ken, we are also going to give the league and the CBA and players their due when they do something right. And in my opinion, we are making significant strides with making sure the best players are playing in the league every single year for so many years. And especially the Chris Bryant story. But it happened every year. Is this team just keeping this player down? Oh, we'll see him in 2 weeks when he comes up. So do you think that some of the changes that were made, including rewarding teams for bringing players up right from the jump, have changed the way that we view prospects? And again, we have Brett Beatty coming up this week, Zach Neto coming up this week, but even seeing opening day rosters with guys like Anthony Volpe, it suddenly isn't a conversation. I like to point out when we do remove things that were a problem that haven't been a conversation this year.
That's a good point, Scott. And initially, after the CBA came out, I didn't think it included enough to curb service time manipulation. But we really haven't heard much about it. And you're absolutely right. And the Mariners last year, if you remember, Julio Rodriguez makes the team, wins Rookie of the Year. And under those circumstances, if you're a top prospect and you stay with the team the whole year and you win an award of that nature, your team can get an extra draft pick. Now, it's not going to happen to very many players. There's only one Rookie of the Year award, but it happened in that case, and it's going to happen again. So there is incentive now, finally, for teams to try to avoid the service time games that they had played in the past. It's not completely that way, and there are going to be instances where teams do hold a guy down for whatever reason, but it's better. And you're absolutely right. They do deserve credit, both sides, the league and the union, for getting it to a better place. And come 5 years from now, when the CBA is up again, we'll see how this played out, whether it was enough or not enough. And I would imagine the parties will revisit it at that time.
It's almost like the league starting to put its best product forward and starting to worry about. Imagine that. Wow. Because not only are the best players being up, now I got to say, I'm seeing already benefits of everybody playing everywhere now. So every city's going to be getting to see all these players that they're going to see on the TV now, instead of waiting for every other year or even longer than that. Now you got someone, either it's a road game or a visitor's game, away game, where you're going to see every best player on every team.
This is an underrated thing that was introduced this year, in my opinion. And first of all, there's a couple of elements to it, and you know this, guys. The reduction of games within the division from 19 to 13. That's a positive too, because it was just too much. And in the AL East in particular, it was a huge disadvantage for a lesser team. Tampa Bay for a time, at least lesser financially. The Baltimore Orioles, now they have a better chance facing other teams besides those in their division at a greater number. So that's one thing. But the other part of it, and the part that appeals, in my view, most to fans, is the idea that fans in every city, every other year, will see any team in the league, right? So let's take Jason's former team in Cleveland. Fans in Cleveland, there's some really good fans there. They're now going to see Mookie Betts come back to Cleveland with the Dodgers every other year. Now, that's just one example. You can take any star on any National League team. Austin Riley on the Braves, Pete Alonso on the Mets. This, to me, is a very healthy development for the game. It's something that needed to happen, and it's a real positive.
Ken, speaking of superstars, Shohei Ohtani is the star of stars right now. The Angels had a rough weekend in Boston. It happens. When do we hit panic, and when do the Angels start thinking, maybe we can't keep him, maybe we move him? And Shohei was very complimentary of Boston and their fans. So what are the chances Red Sox sneak in to the Shohei sweepstakes?
AJ, in my view, it's too early to discount any team for the most part. Well, the Oakland A's, the Rockies, you can maybe discount them. But a team like the Angels, who tried really hard this offseason, they added a number of players, and they want to be a more competitive team, that's clear. I don't know that it's the appropriate time to start talking about a trade. And we can always talk about it, but I don't know that it's a relevant conversation yet, because more has to play out. Now, if they continue playing poorly, and if they do not show any consistency and they're kind of middling along, then it does become a conversation for sure. But even then, if the Angels were going to trade Shohei Ohtani, they should have done it at the deadline last year. They could have made the same type of trade that the Nationals made for Juan Soto. He had a year and a half or a year plus left before he was going to become a free agent. Now, Soto had 2 years plus, but Ohtani at that time had extreme value. At the deadline this year, he'll have value, no question, but you're getting him for 2 months, hopefully 3 if you make the playoffs. So the return won't be the same. In that sense, the Angels have already missed their opportunity. But the way they see it, they wanted to build a team this year to persuade Shohei that we're worth sticking around for. I don't know that they've done that. They've had kind of a weird start to their season. Their starting pitching is good. They have not played defensively well at times. They have not hit well at times. I want to see more from them before I make any judgment, but certainly that question is going to linger over the Angels. And Artie Moreno, the owner, has said, we're not trading him if we're in contention. Well, duh. But the question becomes, if you're out of contention, do you at that point entertain it? And what does it look like? And if you're Boston, just to use the example you did, are you going to be in a good enough position to make that trade and justify it? Because it's going to take something to get Shohei Ohtani. And we don't even know if the Red Sox would stand a chance of re-signing him because we don't know if he really wants to play on the East Coast.
Sneaky underrated part of the Angels this year, Ken, if you're watching them every day, I don't even forget what the numbers are. Not a lot of trustable guys in the bullpen. And I actually was thinking back, I know he's hurt right now, but they traded away Raisel Iglesias. You know, when he's on the mound, that's a reliable guy. So I think that could be part of the downfall. You get to the late innings right now, I'm like, who the hell's coming out of the bullpen? That's a problem for them, you know, and they didn't spend money on it.
Well, they did actually a little bit. They got Estevez and they got Matt Moore. And those guys have performed fairly well. But, Scott, I'm glad you bring up Iglesias because this is the reason this franchise can drive you crazy at times. Now, we saw them try this offseason, right? Well, why did you trade Iglesias last year? If you were going to take that approach, that competitive approach, well, because they've had an inconsistent messaging from ownership on what they're doing. And the GM, Perry Manasian, can only act on what his budget is and what the owner is directing him to do and that kind of thing. And it was just an odd trade at the time, and certainly they could use Iglesias right now. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's a helicopter parent
Yeah.
ownership situation. That's no secret in the game. We know that. So
Artie
they're like,
Moreno
hey, let's get rid of the
controls,
money. Yeah. So Ken, thank you
Go
so
on.
much. What?
Ken, you're in Bay Area.
You never let me sign
no,
off.
No, but go to Oakland. No, because we've been talking about this. If you can get an interview with that possum, Ken, you would be the best reporter of all time. Figure out where they
AJ, I actually am going to Oakland tonight, not in search of the possum, but you never know what might happen, right?
Yeah, so if you can get an interview, at least get a selfie with the possum, please. Like, get.
Yeah. I heard it smells so bad in that actual
It
booth.
doesn't affect Ken. Ken's a professional.
I don't know. That might.
Yeah, he gets paid for the kitchen, not for the dealing with the possum dropping. So, Ken, good luck in Oakland tonight. We'll talk to you in a few days.
Thanks, guys.
And hey, also you can check out Fair Territory every single week. Podcast, YouTube, there it is. Episodes drop every single Monday. Latest one came out and you heard a little bit about what he covered, including Tatis, Bellinger, and that situation for Dork of the Week. YouTube, podcast.
Dude of the week, too. It's cool.
Dude of the Week.
Dude and Dork.
I'm not going to say who Dude of the Week was. You got to tune in and you can see it yourself. Now, time to play one of my favorite, it's not a game, segments. That's what he said. So we have a few quotes.
Okay.
And we're going to start with Shohei Ohtani, being that you just mentioned him.
Mm-hmm.
Shohei on Fenway. Quote, it's one of my favorite parks, so I always look forward to pitching here. But the conditions didn't allow me to have fun fully. Other than that, I always look forward to pitching here. And of course, Boston was freaking out. They're like, this is the one day, Mother Nature, where we didn't need you to do this. You can literally rain for 100 days straight. The Red Sox aren't doing anything this year. When Shohei comes here, please have a gorgeous 75-degree day. So some people were like, the answer should be Sox must put retractable roof on Fenway Park now to lure Shohei Ohtani over to Boston. Your thoughts on what you were saying to Ken?
He had a lot of good things to say about
He did.
In the video of him and the kid interacting where he's signing the autograph and they're both laughing, it was great. I don't know that Boston's a player because, like Ken said, East Coast, he seems like he really enjoys the West Coast, closer to Japan. A lot of things there. LA is still the spot for me. They didn't sign anybody this offseason. Dodgers.
Not
yes.
LA Angels.
Not Angels. Sorry. I still call them Anaheim. But I just, man, I mean, he looked great in a Boston uniform. He looked great in any uniform.
Mm-hmm.
But is that a Red Sox plan? Will they have enough to lure him and say, hey, we can win the next, if we sign him for 6 years, $500 million, whatever it is? Do they have enough? I don't know.
They should. They should have enough. They didn't pay Betts. They didn't pay Xander. They paid Raffy, but I mean, they have extra money. My thing is, why not the Yankees? Talking to Masahiro Tanaka about playing for the Yankees, he said, growing up in Japan, you either want to play in Japan or you want to play for the Yankees. And that's why Masa isn't playing here anymore. And to see the video right now that's on our screen of the Boston fans, he's going to be loved wherever he goes. He doubled his Instagram following. He is on skincare commercials. And sneaky with Boston, he's the face of New Balance now. Headquarters where? Boston.
I think he has PTSD from losing for so long. And this is no offense to the Red Sox, but they have a lot of roster work to do right now. They're not in a good position to win games. So I do think he's going to get massively, massively paid wherever he goes. He wants to go to a team that he can feel super confident. Like, you should be able to look at the odds, World Series odds, and that team should be top 3 or 4. They should already be stacked up to win a World Series. He's just gone through losing season after losing season. In my mind, that has to be a given.
The only thing I question about Boston is if he goes to LA Dodgers, you got Freeman, you got Betts, you got Kershaw if he's still there, you've got Arias if he's still there, Buehler, you've got a bunch of guys that are stars. Does he want to go to a place and be the man? The man. You go to Boston, you sign for that, you are the man. And it's different than LA. I don't care what you say. The media in Boston is a completely different animal. And New York, too. Now, New York, you get off to a good start, they'll love you. You don't, we all know how it goes. But LA, you can kind of, with Betts and Freeman and some other guys there, you kind of fly a little more under the radar. Like with Trout. He's always got Trout there as a sidekick, right? You go to Boston, I know it's Devers, but there's not really that core group that can, if he gets off to a bad start, he can kind of, I don't want to say hide behind because that's not really the right word, but get comfortable before he has to be the man.
You might be the first person to call Mike Trout a sidekick.
Yeah, he will not be a sidekick anywhere. He will be front and center. I know what you're saying.
I know what you mean.
I think.
I'm not.
Listen,
Mike Trout's obviously him and Ohtani are 1-2 best players going, but there's that other guy for Ohtani, right?
He might enjoy that though, because that means he's going to a place where he's going to win more. If there's more of those type of guys, I think that's.
Yeah, he wants to win, number one.
Yes.
I think that's what. And he was enamored by Trout. He wanted to play with Trout. He has, but he didn't realize. He didn't know who Artie Moreno was. You didn't do his homework. You didn't do your homework there. I'm serious. You didn't do your homework. You should have seen how they've run their franchise for a while. They're not a winning team. That's just how it is.
But there are also people that don't want to be the man. And I don't know Shohei well enough, and I can't speak on Shohei's personality, but there are people that don't want to be that guy. They don't want to be Derek Jeter. They don't want to be Mike Trout. They don't want to be Bryce Harper. Like Bryce Harper is a star, right? He wants that.
I might combat you on that Mike Trout. Should not Mike Trout be a bigger star than he is? I feel like he doesn't do much of the marketing. I feel like for how good he is, that he will be in the storybooks and the record books and all that. I feel like in terms of stardom, he's not really doing many of the commercials and all the other stuff.
Well, that's kind of my point. I probably misspoke when I said Mike Trout. But I mean, like Bryce Harper, he's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Judge kind of has that personality too, where he's a star, but he's not out there, I feel like, at least nationally, maybe in New York, as much as he maybe could be. Tatis was everywhere when he was blowing up.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez is everywhere right now, right? Trout is not. But maybe Ohtani wants to hide a little bit behind a Mookie Betts, behind a Freddie Freeman. Not saying that they're comparable talents because Ohtani's probably better because he pitches and hits. But there are people that don't want that on them. They don't want – Mike Trout doesn't seem like the guy that wants the spotlight on him. Bryce Harper, bring it on.
Bring it.
Bring it on. Tatis, bring it on when he's going good, right?
The other part is, though, if you play in the playoffs like Harper just did, and he stole the show many times, you're going to gain even more recognition. So Trout is not doing the commercials and the marketing. He's not interview left and right. He doesn't want to do all of that. He's in a place that's more chill. But most importantly, the team is not good ever. So if you're never good and never in the playoffs, he's played one time. He's been in the league for a long time.
I blame Kratz.
Why?
Didn't they lose to the Royals that year? Or no, it was the Blue Jays.
Absolutely waxed them.
Yeah, see, I blame Kratz's team.
I almost got in one of those games, and they were like, we can't finish this.
They might come back. We're up 2-0, 10-0. Nope, not time yet.
Not time. Yeah, we beat them in 2 heartbreakers for the Angels in the first 2 games, and then we went back to KC and just put it right to them. Like they had no chance right out of the gate. But it's okay if you're like I would go against what Kip said. Like it's okay. You don't have to be out there. MLB tried to push Trout to be the face. And I agree with AJ. He doesn't want to be the face. You can't make somebody, because you're talking about personality things. You're not talking about.
I wasn't saying it like it was a bad thing. I was just noticing that Trout doesn't do those things.
Yeah. And I would say, maybe that's the issue with the Angels. You can say late inning relief, all this stuff, traded this guy away, Artie Moreno. They don't have a Batman. They got too many Robins.
I mean, Mike Trout is Robin is
sidekick and a Robin. He is not coming on this show.
And one day he'll talk about how, I guarantee you, how he was pissed that he didn't get to play more meaningful baseball. Ohtani's
already
pissed
said
too.
it.
The WBC was that flex. Both of them could not have said it more. This is the best experience of my life. This is awesome. Because they're not getting that in the regular season in August in Anaheim, where
as I've said,
oh, great to see everyone. You're 20 games out, but let's watch the best players in the world.
As I've said to Ken, and Ken and I have had this argument on the air about AL MVP when Trout was winning it all those years, and even Ohtani when he won it. Their last meaningful game they played for all those years was in April. Okay? And it's just the truth. They were never in anything the whole way. So let me see Mike Trout. Let me see Shohei in September where they got to win. Shohei's on the mound, and you're saying, Shohei, go out and give me 7. Trout, go out and go deep, hit me a game-winning home run in the 8th off some team's closer they brought in to face you. Then you'll be my MVP. They're great. They're unbelievable players, Hall of Fame guys, the whole deal. But I want to see them in those situations before we anoint. Because for me, MVP, it's a whole – we are not even getting – it's a whole other debate.
We'll have plenty of time.
Yeah,
this show's
it's a whole other
every
thing.
Weekday. Can I ask you something? Because I know we're going to have Vaughn Grissom, shortstop of the Braves, soon. Toasty in the YouTube chat right now has been asking about Seattle. Seattle has a huge Japanese fan base. Seattle could be a dark horse for Shohei Ohtani. Haven't heard them talked about a lot, but that's thing is I could see it, Kip, if they throw him the bag that is close to what LA is going to throw at him.
You got to imagine Shohei was watching Ichiro all those years.
Yes.
And has talked to him about that city.
They're going to throw $500 million at him, then they're a contender.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I don't think they'll throw the money at him. They have too good of a core of guys right now.
To not add Ohtani?
You have to add Ohtani.
That would be why you add Ohtani.
Okay. But then you can't keep that core of guys.
Why? They're rich. I'm never going to feel bad.
Bitch.
They're rich. They've been spending money for years. They haven't been spending shit. They profit like crazy in Seattle. Now they're starting to spend a little bit.
They signed Julio, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're cheap. I'm just saying they've got plenty of money to spend.
They also have a lot of guys that are going to be coming up pretty quickly.
You know how I feel about Seattle. I love
Seattle.
I love Seattle. The organization right now has strong talent coming, pitching, defense, superstar in the making.
That TV deal money would go up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, hell yeah. Teams make, we talked about this. I think the Angels make like 10 to 15 mil a year back on Ohtani alone. That's the thing. So even if he made 50 a year, it's really like 35 for a team, which is right around where the average top tier player makes anyway. So keep that in mind. They get that back in sponsorship.
Why not Oakland? They got all kinds of money.
Why not Vegas?
Yeah. There you go.
Why not Vegas?
Oakland's got all kinds of money. They ain't spending nothing.
All right, let me do a couple more for That's What He Said. We have 2 more. We'll see if we can sneak them in before we get Grissom. Back to Juan Soto, having a hard time adjusting to the pitch clock. He specifically said there's not enough time coming out of the on-deck circle to get ready and begin plate appearances. And this quote stood out to me. You can't even play mind games anymore.
What is he playing?
Do it. Let's show it.
I did it.
Show it.
It seems like a lot of. Can we get the solo? A lot of. Because he's struggling. There we go.
Allergies?
A lot of allergies, yes, because he's struggling right now to hit. But what mind games are you playing? Like how long it takes you to get to the box? Like
His stare down, his shuffle.
he can still do that. He's just got to do it quicker. He's got to do instead of the icky shuffle. He's just got to do a quick little 2-step. I don't know. I don't get this one. I don't. He played in. Well, I guess he wasn't in the minor leagues when they implemented it, but he played spring training.
Well, he played last year in the second half.
He struggled last year, and there was no pitch clock.
Yep.
Maybe Gratzy, what mind games did you do?
I had my own mind games. I was up here like
you were psyching yourself out.
Up here was like, "You're good. You're not good. You're not. You're good." Bung, 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 bung. And then it was like, "You're out of the game." Oh.
Gratzy, didn't you call people names that they weren't? Didn't you
Oh,
say,
but that was when I
what'd
was
you call
catching.
Bryce Harper?
When I was catching, I had Bruce. I called
Bruce
Bryce
Harper.
Bruce.
Come on. That's so good.
That is good.
That
We were
is
playing.
good.
I played with Trout in Team USA, and Trout came up to the plate in Toronto, and I hadn't played against him since 2010. It was 2014, and Adrian Johnson was the umpire behind me. You know, short. He could barely see over my head. And Trout comes up, and Trout's like, "Hey, what's up, Gratzy, man? I haven't seen you forever." He's like, "Where have you been?" I was like, "I've been in the big leagues. That's what I do. I'm a big league baseball player, Mark." And Adrian's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, it's Mark Trout." I said, "When he gets a hit this series, then he turns into Mike Trout." So any kind of name games that I can play.
You showed him.
Yeah. He didn't get a hit that series.
You shut him down.
Maybe you did show him then. There you go.
Maybe, yeah. Well played, Gratzy. Well played.
One more for That's What He Said. Trent C. Rosecrans, who covers the Reds, talked to Jake Fraley about a big catch that he made. And then Fraley was smiling and knew that this was going to get some play, but I appreciate it. And Nick Castellanos did this a little bit last year in the playoffs. So Fraley goes, "Yeah, you guys can run with this. I don't know what you're going to do with it. I feel like before this year, I never really cared too much. I know that's tough to say, but I'm being honest and vulnerable. I always felt like defense came easy to me. I was always considered a strong defender coming up through the minors, getting to the big leagues. Things are exposed. When they're exposed, they're very exaggerated. In the big leagues, it was a bit of a pride thing. I don't need to do too much with it. I've always given above and beyond to hitting in my approach. Never incredible detail to my defense. This offseason, I made it. Part of it is a part of the stuff I embarked on, the knowledge I was receiving, the people I was placing around me when it came to the mental side of my game. That started last year. Part of that sparked me going all in on every aspect of my game. I always went all in on the hitting, but that was it. So, and there's more to it.
Basically, he didn't care about defense until he was made to care about defense.
And now
I'll
playing
sum that up
better
real
defense.
quick for you. He didn't care because he was always could just naturally do it. Now someone's like, "Hey, you're not very good defensively. You're going to get kicked out." So, oh yeah, guess what? Now I care about defense. That's
He didn't care until he started seeing his air on ESPN.
Yes.
That makes
Correct.
him care a little bit faster.
Yep. And now he's playing better D.
Amazing when you start caring how much better you are.
How about this? Back to the top of the show, Kip. If you play better D, you'll get paid more. That's a fact.
It's a pride thing. I always looked at it as a pride thing, and I always look at it that there's a guy on the mound who's counting on you too. That he's trying to make his money too. He's going home to his family. So there's a lot of reasons to take defense seriously. That's coming from someone who probably wasn't the best defender. So I mean, it's one of those ones you have to just pay attention to, and it's so much easier. It's like in basketball, it's easy to work on shooting. In baseball, it's easy to work on hitting. It's the little things though that keep you up there.
I appreciate the realness on the quote.
Mm-hmm. Could have said it a lot shorter though. That was a long read for you. I feel sorry for you.
You wanted him to just say, "I didn't care about D, now I do."
Pretty much. That's what he said, and that was a lot of words to say that.
That's why we play. That's what he said, because you guys are big leaguers and you can translate for me. I'm just the messenger.
Yeah.
There's a coordinator in the minor leagues who's like shaking his fist at the camera right now. I've been trying to get that guy to play. He never should have gotten called up until he played. And there's also another guy in the minor leagues that plays the exact same position as Fraley and is like, I've been working on my defense forever. And someone walks by him and goes, yeah, but you're hitting 220, so you better start hitting better.
Yeah.
True.
I
There's always
like
that coordinator that was like, I knew he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Well, better late than never.
True.
He's paying attention now, and it's helpful for his ball club. And that trade looking a little better for Cincinnati now. That was the Gino Suarez trade.
Mhm.
And Jesse Winker, who's
Jesse Winker's now a Brew Crew.
a brew crew.
Did you guys hear the same thing as I did? It's one thing to get up to the show. It's another thing to stay there.
For sure.
He did. Yes. You mean in his quote?
And
No,
just
in
in your
general.
own experience.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. That's usually one of the main quotes you hear when you get there. It's one thing to get there. It's another thing to stay there. You get exposed real fast, and that exposure is very public. So
Yes, it is, because we'll
it
call your
changes
ass
things.
out on foul territory.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's do picks, and then I think we'll have Vaughn after that. So your BetMGM locks of the day. We backtrack to yesterday. 2 for 4. Not terrible. Not great. FadeAJ.com.
Yes. I don't even know what that means, but yes. If that means
Go
don't
against your
bet
pick.
against me, yes.
Rockies fell.
I mean,
and
the
it's a great
Rockies were only
pick,
down 9-0 in like the first inning.
which made it easy for you. You
Yeah, I
could just
could go
turn
to
it off
sleep.
and be done. Frazier talking big game. Marlins didn't happen for him. Kratzy, you and me on the late night bang for Chicago, handling most of that over for you. And then Brewers with Burns and the offense, bottom of the order. Brian Anderson, top, I think, 3 or 4 in RBIs. Props to him. I like it. Money
My
bags,
pick.
please.
My pick,
What?
my pick didn't even come with it it wasn't because of the Cubs. They scored all the runs. My pick was because of Oakland's ERA. Thank you. That was easy. Their ERA is higher than the over was, so I'll take that all time.
Wait until you see Kip and I's picks today.
Yeah, I think that's a precursor. Money bags, 9-4, 3-7, 5-8, 1-0. So Kip and me are
I
up.
should get a discount for that picture.
Kip's undefeated.
True.
Stay
Give it
hot,
time.
baby.
Give it time.
BetMGM locks of the day. And Kip, you start off for us.
I think I'm going to ride exactly what you were saying, though. I am going to say it's because of the Cubs, and I'm going to take them -1.5 versus a lefty pitcher who I don't think is off to that great of a start. But I'm going to do it for 250. I'm going to go not the normal 100 bet. I'm getting up there.
I
Trying to
like
make
that.
fast cash.
Scared money don't
Scared
make
money don't make money. You got it,
That's right.
Clancy.
And you're tailing, so you go
I'm
next.
100% tailing that just because Oakland A's are 3-14, 3-13, whatever they are. How they ever win 3?
Stroh's on the
Miracle.
mound, too. Been pitching great.
Stroman's been dealing in
Against
Oakland.
Waldichuk.
Against who?
Ken Waldichuk.
Doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying.
He's got a 10 ERA, I think.
pitching
Oh, actually, he might
mismatch.
have a 7.5.
It's a pitching
So
mismatch.
it's a pitching mismatch. Easy for you to say.
AWL.
Yeah, and listen, Stroman's been dealing. He's feeling good. He's talking a lot in the press, which means he's feeling good. So I got him throwing sinkers. I said this Rich Hill was going to get whacked, so apparently, Kip, you're screwed.
Kratzy, you and me are watching and kind of broadcasting the Yanks game tonight on the NYY News live stream. So you and me both have Yanks picks, and we have the same picks.
I was telling you, I heard yours, and I was like, I was looking at the over-unders. I think there's going to be a lot of offense. I think one thing both these pitchers do, though, is they throw strikes. This could be a game where I might throw a little parlay into some home run bets, maybe 3+ homers in the game, but I don't see it being over the I think it was either a 9 or an 8.5. I'm not sure what the run total was.
Yeah, I think it was at least 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 9 because I was scared from it, but that doesn't mean I feel like there's going to be some homers because both of these guys miss. Clark Piece of Schmidt misses in the zone that Ohtani hammers and Trout hammers, and Suarez misses a lot of his pitches where Aaron Judge hits a lot of homers. So I'm excited to watch it.
Me too. I got Yanks run line 2. And you're just doing the standard. You're putting a hundo for 125?
No, I'm doing my normal 2. My 200.
Okay. I'm staying disciplined. Hundo. Yeah, lefty Ohtani. Clark Schmidt struggled against lefties. But I think this is the day piece of Schmidt turns it around. I've got it. He's been using less of that new cutter because it hasn't been working for him yet. So I liked a little bit of what I saw last start. So keep that in mind. We'll see if the Yanks cover with the run line there. They're coming off the off day while the Angels dealt with all the rain and all the hoopla in Boston. Okay, MLB, bet 10, get 100 instantly, and get the offer in 4 easy steps. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created account. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Place a pregame moneyline wager of at least $10 on any MLB team to win at standard odds price. You receive $100 in bonus bets instantly if you use the bonus code SPICYMLB. And if you sign up in Boston, or Massachusetts, I should say, the whole state, or Ohio, you will receive $200 in bonus bets. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And I think we've got them good now. So I talked about it for the last 10 minutes. We had some connection, I think, clarity now with our guy, Vaughn Grissom. Is he ready? Yes. Let's bring him in. What's up? Good to see you. Vaughn Grissom of the Atlanta Braves joining us right now. Good to see you. How's where are you?
We're at the hotel right here across from the stadium. But yeah, we're getting ready for the day.
How's big league life again? Welcome back.
I appreciate it. It's great. It's great. Obviously, you guys all know what it's like, so it's a big difference, but it's the same game at the same time.
Vaughn, don't be too jealous because Scott and I are in Orlando, so just know that we're here in Orlando. We're 407, baby.
That's what I'm talking about.
Scott's a Jersey guy. He doesn't get it. But,
I like it here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got nothing bad to say. I like it.
Yeah,
Go outside and it's 80.
Vaughn, we know the story. The people on this show know the story. Can you explain what happened in spring training in the shock you got when you were sent down to Gwinnett and the Stripers and the whole thing? And now you're back. You had you've been great since you've come back. Can you explain? Can you just walk us through that whole scenario?
A tough question, but I wouldn't say I was so shocked, but you obviously want to break with the team. You want to go out there and try to help the boys win because we're on a great team here. Like look at Volpe, kids like that. So it did suck for a little bit, but you got to keep your options open, or not your options, but you just had to be ready for anything, especially in this game, and just help any team you're with try to win. And eventually, like if you play good enough ball, things happen for a reason.
Were you angry? Were you frustrated? Were you disappointed? What's the feeling? Because I was sent down. Kratz was sent down. Kip, I think you were probably sent down at some point. What was the feeling? First, because I know when I was sent down, I was pissed. I was like, man, I didn't even get a shot, really. And then you realize, okay, maybe this can work out better. So what was your first initial feeling? I want to get traded from the Braves. Did you call your agent? Who'd you call?
No, I wasn't angry. I knew it was I kind of just looked at it as a business decision, so I was just like, dude, you're in the business and you're going to get, it's just whatever happens. But I was a big believer in like whatever happens for a reason. So I try not to expect too much, you know what I'm saying? Or like, hope for anything because you know how crazy this stuff can get. So there's also so many things I don't know or things I still have to learn. So I'm very optimistic about it. But no, I wasn't angry or wanted to trade or anything like that. I want to be a Brave for as long as I can, hopefully forever, But so I just knew it was part of the process.
Well, I think there's worse places to go than Gwinnett. How important was it to you to have someone like Tui there who knows the same exact ground ball drill that Wash does, and you got Carlos Mendez there who's an awesome hitting coach. So I was there for a year, and those two guys were fantastic. Is it good to kind of keep that same routine from spring to Gwinnett and all the way back up once you get there with Wash?
Yeah, no, that was huge. I like it. Mendy is great. Tui is great. Even Wilk is great. Like these guys they all know what my end goal is. So whenever I needed, they were there for me, and they would push me, give me more whenever I wanted more. Let me know whenever it was enough, stuff like that. So, and they all have been there too. Tui's was a big league infielder too. So it was easy just to talk with him and just, they're vets. So just having those guys around is really good for the youngins.
Not that you ever want to get sent down again, but how is somebody, because this was always awkward for me when it wasn't me getting sent down. How do you want somebody to approach you when you get sent down? Like, you take the walk of shame when you come out of the manager's office and you're like, they look over at you and, oh, damn, like, hey, go get him, man. Like, the awkward, like that's so fake. Like, go get him? Dude, they just sent you to Gwinnett and you're not even from there.
Yeah. That's funny. No, I mean, there's only one way you can really, treat a teammate. Just play your ass off to get back, stuff like that. You can, there's only so much you can say just to try to get that fire back in you or whatever. Because, like you said, it could be a little weird at first and a little awkward, but when you have guys like Riley or Olsen, whatever, they send you texts like, dude, you can play baseball. Just do your job and just come back and help us win.
This is also back in AAA when they opened Gwinnett and then they changed it to the Stripers. Do you ever look at the uniforms and be like, are we the strippers or the stripers? Because I always look at it and I think it looks like the strippers, but I'm not good at spelling.
That's the ongoing joke, in the club.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I've seen that.
That one keeps getting passed down every year.
Such a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Baseball players, man. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Did you get a place in between the two? Because they're not far from each other. They're, an hour, if that, depending on traffic from each other, right? Gwinnett and Atlanta?
Yeah, I got a place right in the middle. So
right in the middle because you knew? You're like, I'm not going to be down here long. I need a place in between.
It's a little closer to Atlanta, but it's still right in the middle.
I did the same thing, and I got one closer to Atlanta, and I never made it to Atlanta. So I just had to make a long drive the entire season. And I didn't get fully informed because I lived closer towards Lenox Mall, and as soon as I said I moved there, someone was like, that's basically a Call of Duty map. And I was like, what does that mean? And I found out real fast what they meant about all the lights and sirens going by at night. But it's nice to have the AAA that close to the big league team.
Yeah, it really is. And Gwinnett's a beautiful little town too, and they got a lot of stuff going on. It's like on the upcoming, I feel like. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of youth around.
You and Michael Harris living together? You guys are roomies in spring training, right?
Yeah, that's right. Nah, we did last year for a little bit, but you know how it is. You want some of your own space sometimes. That's my boy though. I definitely, if I'm at anyone's house, it's gonna be his.
Did he buy a big old house? He got that big extension. Did he buy a big old house and you can get like the guest room?
I don't know, man. He might be working on it. He keeps that one under wraps.
Hey, Vaughn, we showed a clip about a week ago when there's a timeout and catcher heads to the mound. I think the ump heads to the mound. Here it is on the strippers. And here goes Vaughn. Just kidding. So was it a joke? Did you have a brain fart? What was going on? Give me the play-by-play inside the mind of Vaughn Grissom.
Nah, it was a joke. I mean, I feel like every single at-bat before that, they were having a mound meeting anyways. So that time there was something with the pitch calm, and I was just like, I just wanted to play a little joke. Like, I'll make sure they're talking what they're saying they're talking about. They're not trying to get an extra plan going against me, the kid. But no, it was a joke. I even took a little look at their manager just to see if he caught it. But I just wanted to see how they would. I didn't think anyone else would see it, especially like the TV or something like that. But that's just part of it. You just forget what's going on. That people are watching all over the world.
I loved it though. It's funny, and I actually didn't even think about this, but. Are there limited timeouts in the minor league games too? Because you can't. I mean, were they calling timeout left and right?
No, it just was always that situation, just the right situation, and I would just kind of look at their managers, and the pitching coach would be heading out. So this time I was like, all right, you guys aren't gonna do an official one, but the pitch calm is broken, right? Nah. So I was like, I'm gonna make sure you guys are, it's actually the pitch calm. But it was a veteran catcher too. I was just horsing.
That's funny.
Do you said before, you're like, I hope I'm a Brave forever. Would you sign an extension? Just like most of everybody's doing over there?
What's the offer?
I mean, that's a no-brainer, of course, you know. But with
100 million.
when the right time comes, I'm sure something will happen. But if not, then it doesn't. That's out of my control, you know. So I don't even think about that, or that's not even on my mind.
Do you want to be a shortstop? Is that the position that you want to play going forward? Shortstop? Because you
Yeah, of
played
course.
other places.
I love shortstop. You know, that's like my home. Obviously, like I'm a baseball player though. I would play anywhere. This is how I'm wired. My favorite player was Ben Zobrist growing up. So you know, I really like that aspect of the game, just being able to do anything. But yeah, shortstop is, you know, where I want to stay. Obviously, that's home. That's everyone. You know, growing up, I wasn't thinking of being a utility. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be a shortstop. And
Is that where you
you
played
know,
for the? Is that where you played for the Haggerty Huskies? Shortstop?
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
was Riley Green?
He was in center. Yeah, he was a center fielder. So we were cool up the middle. You know?
Mountcastle wasn't there. He was gone by then, right?
Yeah, as soon as when he graduated and we came in at the same time. So yeah, he graduated my sister.
Imagine you're playing against them and you're like, oh, finally, Mountcastle's gone. And you're like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, exactly. They got a group. They got a group this year too.
That's high school.
They got a group
Yeah,
this year
they
too.
Just for
in
people
Haggerty.
that don't realize, that's high school
It's
ball.
high school, yeah. They have a group
It's
now. Yeah.
Vaughn
Garrett
and
Bauman
Riley
and
Green on the
Talon
same team.
They
You
got
kidding me?
407.
Talon and Talon Bell. Yeah, they got some studs there now too.
Did you guys have good pitching? Like, did you guys win whatever the title was for your high school?
Nah, you know, that's the only thing we didn't have, man. We can hit with
Wow.
anyone, but we didn't have pitching like that. I think our ace at the time was like a sophomore, you know, just 83 to 85 with a couple pitches every now and then. But your boy was the closer, so they needed as many innings as they could out of me.
Oh,
Wow.
you were closing.
I didn't realize
Riley
that.
hung his arm on sophomore year, so we didn't have any help in center.
What happened to Riley's arm?
The Riley hung it. He quit the pitching days sophomore year. So I was like, Riley, come on, you got to help me. We got to get here somehow. He's like, I'm done. I'm going to hit this one.
That's
What was
cool.
your walk up as a closer? If you had a walk up, because I know Florida Fields, you guys all got like the turf and the lights and
Not Haggerty,
rain,
bro.
4 o'clock
Not
every day.
Haggerty.
That's a good question. I'm not sure what Riley's walk-up song was for a long time, but it was like a little heavy metal. You know, as a closer, you got to have something that's like a little heavy metal-ish. You know, something that'll put the fear of God in the other team.
Hey, I want to take us back to August because I know these guys might not know the story, but they'll get a kick out of it. Just like a little quote you threw in there, like you thought you were going to be picked by the Mets and that would have sucked. So it's a great way to endear yourself with Braves fans. How often have you heard a Braves fan be like, dude, that was freaking awesome. Thank you for saying that.
No, yeah. The Braves fans loved it, but my family's from New York, so it was more so for them, you know, and I thought they liked me out of the draft, and that was cool for like the fam and stuff. And then ended up going the other way. And then also part of it was like I wouldn't have had the same opportunity with the Mets as I did last year, so that was also part of it. But yeah, you know, it always comes down to like the minor league fields too, and where, you know, how people get treated or whatever the case may be. But I thought the Braves were just the best case scenario.
Strider's done that too. He's done a little smack talking with the Mets.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
You hate the Mets more or the Oviedo Lions?
Oh, definitely the Lions. Yeah.
But their rival.
But the
They're
orange-
like next to each other. So Oviedo's a town on the other by UCF,
Yeah.
and you have Haggerty and you have Oviedo, and they steal each other's players all the time because it's
Mm.
open enrollment in Seminole County, so they can go anywhere they want.
They don't have player control, like team control for 6 years.
No, they
Yeah,
can literally go wherever they
kidding.
want. So Oviedo and Haggerty is a huge, huge rivalry. My daughter
I
plays
love that
volleyball in
you know
Oviedo,
that.
so I hear about it all the time.
But just the orange is not, you know, it's just the orange maybe.
Okay.
Oh, they're both orange.
No, Haggerty's blue, like a discolor blue, and
Yeah.
Oviedo's orange, like the
Right,
giant.
I'm saying. So both of his enemies are orange.
Orange, yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them are enemy,
You don't like Halloween. It's okay.
yeah.
I'd rather be playing in the World Series during Halloween.
True.
Hey, what do you think about the Braves vibe right now? I actually think the Braves aren't being talked about a lot at the moment, which is kind of surprising. the Rays stole the show for the first couple weeks just with the undefeated streak. And hey, all the credit to that. And then you look down and you're like, the Braves and the Rays almost have the same record. So they're off to a roaring start. And that was, without Fried for a start or two, Kyle Wright just came back. So they've already dealt with their fair share of injuries. But, you've been there for a few days now. What's the vibe like with this ball club?
We're just focused on winning. I don't think we'd be playing any better if everyone was talking about us. It's almost it's cool in the dark. We just take care of business and just win our games. There's not a lot of going on, but all we're worried about is winning. And they're on a little streak before I got here too, and just want to keep it going. That's all you can do is just try to help the team win and just do the best. Like there's some horses on this team, so there's not so much you have to do. Just play your part, do your job, and just hope for the best.
I feel like that's been the theme for the last couple of years. I think you see the Mets with their big acquisitions in Philadelphia, and the Braves, you just keep quiet. The media keeps quiet on you guys, and then you look up when September's coming around and you guys are back in first place. I feel like that's been their theme the last couple of years. You guys just go about your business in the best way.
Yeah, it's so easy with these. I'm telling you, these guys are young, but they're veterans, and they just have the right mental aspect, man. Olsen, Ozzie, Riley, Rosario, all these guys. Like Acuna, obviously, I can't believe I left out him, but these guys just they're young, but they do it the right way. Murphy, like they just it's easy, man. They make it really easy on, especially the young kids, me and Mike, just to go out there and just play because they're handling business. If that makes sense.
Vaughn, I got one quick light one for you, and then we'll let you go. Of your teammates, all your teammates, you have to kill one, you got to trade one, and you got to move in with one. Go. Who are the three?
Jeez. Can you say it again? You got to kill one. That's the first.
Trade one, and then you got to move in with one.
Can you say cut one? Like kill is so harsh.
Okay. You don't got to kill them. You just got to kill
Killing
their baseball dreams.
cutting and trading them are kind of the same thing.
Well, yeah, they're dead to you because they're gone and they're on another team. But cut.
Okay.
Don't you have to give them three players?
Yeah, three different guys.
I'll move in. I'm gonna start. I'll move in with Riley. He just keep me on my toes. And good dude. Shoot, I don't want to trade one of the guys too. That's almost tougher than killing someone. Yeah, I'll kill Olsen, man. I'll get rid of that guy. He gives me a hard time all the time. And then someone to trade. That's tough, man. I don't want to trade anyone. I don't want to get back to the clubhouse today and be like, yeah,
Eddie Perez.
Killing.
Eddie Perez.
All
right, I'll trade Eddie, I guess. He's retired, but we need him back, though. He's a veteran.
That's tough. Hey, my last one. What do we ask Michael Harris next time we have him on? Because he's on with us pretty frequently. Like, how do we crack the code, to get past, like, that outer layer of Michael Harris, cool, calm, smooth? Like, give me something we can either make fun of him about or, like, when you're roomies with him, what's he doing when he's home?
You just gotta have him on more often, man. He's one you gotta break in a little, slowly, but he's great, man. Once you get him, that's for you guys to figure out. But once you figure it out, he'll be talking about everything. Okay. Maybe you can hit him with a couple, random questions about like that. Who would you rather kill, trade, or something like that.
I like it. Challenge accepted. Yeah, we'll work on that. Hey, Vaughn, great to talk to you, man. We're excited to have you throughout the season, and good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you again in a few weeks.
I appreciate you guys, man. Had a great time. Awesome.
Thank you, Vaughn. That was awesome, man. Vaughn Grissom with us.
Kratz,
Braves.
bro.
Kratz dropping some tough questions.
It couldn't have been like Mary. What's the other Mary?
No, you can't
No. We weren't doing that one.
No,
well, you know what
that
I'm
one's
saying.
worse.
I don't know.
It's got killing it also, that game. I know what you're talking
about. Kill, trade, and room with.
I had the joke.
I didn't say Michael Harris for the room.
For trade, I would have said Orlando Arcia. I wanted to. I lightly said it. I don't know if you guys wanted to bite on that one, but
you whispered it.
Yeah, I did. If you go back, scroll back on YouTube, like 30 seconds, you'll see it. All right, let's go into slap hands. Kipnis, you want in on that?
What do we got?
Ring
Did you
around
see
the
that?
ring around the
The ring
Rosie.
around
Did you
the
want to play
Rosie.
ring around the Rosie?
We added to slap hands. We have Kratz, AJ, or not AJ, Kratz, me, and Frage. 3-team celebration at the end. So slap hands version 2.0. But Kratz, why don't you take over? Kratz hats, what do you got today?
Kratz hats. First, I'm going to give a shout out before I give the Kratz hats shout out, because it's a minor league shout out. Brett Sullivan gets called into the office where Philip Wellman, the dude that took the rosin bag and threw it like a grenade back in the day on his ejection, very, very classic, gets called up after 8 years in the minor leagues. Brett Sullivan, congratulations. That's a slap hands for you and your paycheck, your family, your 3-year-old son. But my Kratz hats today, we're going when Syracuse, they were still the Sky Chiefs in this one. They actually changed it from turf. I wore another one that was similar to this, but different colors. They went from turf to grass, and they moved the fences back in Syracuse and ruined so many people's careers because they didn't have the light short home run fences there. But Syracuse.
Oh,
My
what was
Siri
that?
watch was listening.
She said she didn't understand Kratz hat. She said, I didn't get that.
That happens way too often. I got to change my settings on my watch. It's doing it again.
Kill Siri. That's what you would say.
That's what I would say. That's who I would trade.
I had, especially early on Siri days when on TV, I had the same issue. So I had to put her to bed. I had to put her to rest.
She gone.
Take her out back because I was like, Siri, you can't talk when I'm doing a show. She would just pop up randomly. So that's the music. You got a flight to catch.
Yeah,
Good
before
luck.
we go, though, 2 things. Miggy Cabrera, 40th birthday. Way to go. Great career.
Yep.
See you in the
Happy
Hall of Fame.
birthday.
And Mark Burley, anniversary of his 2007 no-hitter. He couldn't have done it without me. Those fingers were right that night. 27 up, 27 down. Thank you for picking off Sammy Sosa. Mark Burley, you never got Kipnis out, but I still love you.
Hey, and if you're on the podcast crowd, Jason Kipnis' shirt says Kip, so that you know what his name is. There it is. I like it. I didn't want that one to sneak by. Good stuff, Kip. We'll see you next time, dude.
Fun. Until next time, boys.
See everyone Wednesday.